What's good? Tuesday, Lucky Lefty podcast, Onora Boys in the building. Brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure you do so. He meant to say responsibly. We couldn't hear you, Left. I don't know what happened. We still can't hear you. No. So today we're going to talk about the top 3 cultures in college football. The top 3 cultures in college football. Then we're going to talk about where Notre Dame's culture fits the overarching culture that exists, and then the individualized culture that Marcus Freeman is trying to establish at Notre Dame. Where do they sit right now? As you guys can see, we put the link to the store. The store went live last night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The joints right here, it's taking a little bit more time. We have to go outside of the same people that are making our merchandise and our t-shirts, hoodies, and sweaters. It is localized. It is a shop here in Chicago, so we're going to be shipping from that area specifically. So it's taking a little bit of time for us to get that connected to the store. Those hats will go on sale. This one is going to be in the first batch. We're going to have an all-black version as well, and I believe an all-white version. Those are the trucker hats that are going to be available. And eventually we will have some new era joints, because I'm a fitted guy. I love the trucker look, but I'm a fitted hat guy as well. So that'll be coming soon down the road. So if you go to the store now, you got hoodies, you got sweaters. We're going to bring it up. I'm waiting for Left to get back on. I'm actually going to bring some of the stuff up on the screen. We have our 1842 collection. You know why 1842 means so much to Notre Dame fans. So we have that collection. We're going to continue to add to that collection. We also have the Spin It Different collection. And then we have the logo hoodies. The logo hoodies, the logo sweatshirts, the logo sweatpants. Man. And then we have the all over Spin It Different with the logo on the left sleeve. The left sleeve is actually the logo. And then the Spin It Different is kind of like designed as a football going around the sweatshirt. So it's off center, where half of it is on the front, the other half is on the back. So we're going to keep designing. Shout out to Zoe Alonzo Jackson from Fashion Geek that gave us the ideas of how to start. And we're going to keep doing it, man. Early bird, the promo right now, 10% off. If you go to the store and you purchase anything, early bird gets you 10% off. If you put that in at checkout, promo code early bird, all caps, 10% off over at the LL store, Lucky Lefty Network. We appreciate you guys, man, for all of your support. As I said before, we're going to continue to give you great information, and now we can give you great merchandise. The hats are coming very soon. Hopefully, I can get them launched by Friday. And also keep us in mind, guys. Keep us in mind, because we say so many crazy things that people bring back to us after the shows in the comments that sometimes I forget. I was writing down a list, thinking about ideas for t-shirts and everything. We actually had a Misguided Passion t-shirt that was ready, and we had to change it because of trademark issues. So we're still going to do the Home of the Misguided Passion. That's what we have to do, right? Because the t-shirt actually said Misguided Passion since '88. That was the design, Misguided Passion since '88, playing off the last time we had a national championship, and of course the frustrations within the fan base, and the misguided passion that we had. And We still can do that, but we have to change it up. I think we have to put a hyphen inside of misguided or something, because misguided passion somehow is trademarked. And so to just do that, we have to find a way to make sure that we can avoid the trademark. But we can always do home of the misguided passion. So that's going to be the first one we do. We're working on that. I have an idea, kind of like the old school, high school gym t-shirts, where you had the little block right there. You had the high school on top and phys ed, and then like the block where you write your name in. Man, we're doing something like that for the misguided passion. So just work with us, man. We do a lot of stuff, but it's a lot of things to work around with trademarks and all of those things, and getting those things cleared and making sure. And definitely, we want to make sure that we do it right. Lucky Lefty Podcast, YouTube channel. Subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. The thumbs up, smash it for us. It helps, right? Hit that notification bell. Every time we go live, you guys will know. Audio edibles each and every day. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast, home of the misguided passion. You already know. We spin it different. I'm waiting for Left to come back so we can get into this conversation about the top 3 cultures in all of college football. And I think this is going to be debatable and subjective in a way. Debatable and subjective in a way. Because when you talk about culture, right? Culture is something that you set the conditions to allow something to grow, right? Something simple in our everyday household that like points to culture, and even goes back to high school. Just take a loaf of bread, put it in your bread box, right? Loaf of bread, you put it in your bread box. What's going to happen? Eventually, if you don't eat it, that bread is going to mold. Why? Because of the conditions within the bread box, the moisture, all of that. It's the same thing with any type of culture. Whatever culture you set, that's inside the parameters of that culture.
That's right.
You can't hide what's going to grow from it. You can't hide. Either you can change the conditions to change the outcome, but whatever that culture is, it's going to produce what's inside of it. So that means if you have, you pointed this out, Left, you talked about it's hard to be consistent in culture because you just never know what chemistry is going to be, what team chemistry is going to be year to year.
That matters a lot.
And when you see cultures like Alabama under Saban, what Kirby Smart is trying to create down in Georgia, what Andy Reid has created in Kansas City, what Bill Belichick created in New England, I don't think people understand how difficult it is to maintain that.
Yeah, super tough to maintain. A lot of it is because of the fact that you have to have a consistency and values that everybody buys into. Like Dan Campbell, I think is a short fuse because how do you buy into that over time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Dan Campbell has a good foundation of culture, in my opinion, but I think his culture still needs to evolve. There are some conditions of that culture that he still needs to improve. I think Dan Campbell is very at the same place that Marcus Freeman is at. Am I wrong in saying that? Not the same styles, but what they're trying to establish. You can see the growth, you can see the improvement, but there's still some little tweaks here and there to be able to get over the hump and consistently be considered a championship contender.
I think Dan Campbell is just way more emotional than Marcus Freeman. I don't think Marcus Freeman shows enough emotion, but I think Dan Campbell overshows emotion.
Mm. Do you think that emotion betrayed him Sunday?
Yeah, when he tells you that he don't think that they'll ever be back, you can already tell his mindset was we're going for everything.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Lucky Lefty podcast. Irish Steel, you make a great point. I'll bring this up now because I'll probably forget if I don't with more comments coming through the chat. Harbaugh took the culture with him to San Diego. He took the defensive coordinator, strength and conditioning coach to the Chargers with him. That is, and basically, we're saying, can Sharon Moore continue the culture? I think he can keep aspects of the culture, but he's not Jim Harbaugh. And see, that's the difference. It's the difference between somebody running it that established the culture and then somebody trying to come in and maintain the culture. That's a little bit more difficult. It's the same thing at Alabama, right? Nick Saban established the culture. He was the culture. Kalen DeBoer is trying to come in and continue to maintain that culture that was already established. Not saying that either one of them can't be successful at doing so, but it's a little bit more difficult when you're not the one.
Yeah, because everybody's expecting a different standard that you're trying to recreate or rebrand as your own. It takes time, but it also takes winning. And that's something Saban's been in place for a long time, and Kalen Moore is just starting out as one.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Kalen DeBoer is a really good man, really good coach. You have to win one to start being considered great, in my opinion. He's a really good coach, really good coordinator of recruiting that came along with him to Alabama from what he built at Washington. Foundation of what he wants to do. The reason that the fact that he kept Ryan Williams and Jalen Mbakwe in the class, two five-star athletes out of the state of Alabama. Ryan Williams considered by most as either number 1, 2, or 3 in the country in his class. That says a lot. That says a lot. And I'm sure having 2 first-round wide receivers or 2 top 50 wide receivers going in the NFL draft probably helped the pitch with Kalen DeBoer when he brought Ryan Williams in this past weekend or 2 weeks ago. Probably helped him a lot to secure him staying in that class. So I'll just go ahead and do this now as Left tries to get his connection fixed. The culture of Marcus Freeman and what he's trying to produce at Notre Dame, in my opinion, continues to be under review, right? I think that's what we could say. Most of us pretty much feel like, okay, Marcus Freeman, your culture has had some success. We see success in recruiting. We see improvement in recruiting. But whether or not the proof is really in the pudding, we're still reviewing that. We're still trying to see whether or not you're going to win a championship, right? But at least succeed and exceed what the previous regime did, which was impressive because the previous regime really brought Notre Dame and the program from a dark space and a dark era, in my opinion. But I want to harken back because in order to talk about culture, you have to start at the beginning. And this is Marcus Freeman at the very beginning, talking about some of those things.
Excited to be back on the field, after day one. And I told the guys after practice I was extremely pleased. But, it was the little things for me that I was pleased at. I was pleased I didn't see a lot of guys on the ground, maybe 1 or 2 young guys. I was pleased that we didn't have any fights. And that's not an issue here, It isn't. It's not a competitive issue. I've been at places where you try to initiate fights. Like, we got to fight. We got to see how tough and competitive we are. That's not the problem here. We have to be able to practice together under control, be competitive, but be under control and be good teammates. And it was good to see us get through an entire practice and not have to deal with any melees today. And so I'm excited. I love our staff. it's exciting really for me to hear him teach. That's what I really enjoy, is listening to him. And I told him the other day in the staff meeting, like, I'm not coming into your meetings or into your drills to evaluate as much as I am to learn. I love hearing them teach, and they do an extremely good job of teaching. I'm excited to see for me, what I want to see is our players take over some of that leadership role. Our coaches right now are driving the leadership. Our coaches are pushing our players, but when your players start to push each other and hold each other accountable, that's when you know you got a special team. So I'm going to keep pushing our guys to continue to have leadership and
I wanted to bring that clip back up because that was a clip I remembered. I was like, yo, let me go back and listen to this. That was him after like his first spring practice at Notre Dame. And by the way, the fact that he wore that hoodie is so fire. That Marcus Freeman collection is so fire from the time he took the job. I don't know if he sat down with Jack while he's being interviewed and said, oh, when I get the gig, I need to upgrade the gear. I can't rock that BK collection. I need a Freeman era collection. And the things he said right there, that's your coach telling you what the culture is going to be. We can get to X's and O's, we get to depth charts, we can get to recruiting, but he's saying, yo, I don't have to change certain things because at Notre Dame, having tough kids, tough-minded kids is not a problem. Having balanced kids that respect academics, the integrity of Notre Dame, and the athletic side, that's not a problem. That culture has already been set. That is Notre Dame. See, that's what I was talking about when we began the show in my introduction, the overarching culture that's already there for any coach that comes into Notre Dame. You would be a fool to come in, see that, and then try to change it. Thinking like, yo, we need to change this. Like he said, like you had programs like, man, we have to create fights to find toughness, create toughness. That's not something you have to create at Notre Dame. You don't have to create toughness. But then he goes on to say, like he wants focus. He constantly talks about execution. Execution comes from practice, but not just practice, practicing it the right way. How is this play being executed in practice? Are we at a 90% efficiency? Are we at a 95% efficiency? Those are the things that allow your program to have a culture that when you walk into culture is not about being tested. Every culture is going to be tested, right? I forget who it was. I heard somebody because I want to give credit. The culture that Dan Campbell is creating was tested. It was tested. What he believes and what he's setting in place was tested in the NFC Championship game. The culture failed. So now he has to go back to the drawing board and say to himself, what do I need to change? Do I need to be more consistent? I can still be aggressive, but can I flow a little bit better? Can I pay more attention to the flow rather than just saying this is the culture and this is who we are? Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, if they win a Super Bowl, you can honestly say, listen, fans, listen to this. Listen to how incredible this is. And I hope this is going to be a byproduct of the culture that Marcus Freeman is creating. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl in a week and a half, Andy Reid will have won the Super Bowl with 3 different types of teams and 3 different ways. Just think about that. Think about that. That's the importance of culture and great culture. Great culture and what great coaches do is that they establish a culture that's not, this is the way we do it. They establish a culture by which we can win and morph into whatever team we need to be in order to beat this opponent, that opponent, or whatever challenge or test comes our way. That's great culture. That's great culture. And if they win in a week and a half with the greatest quarterback, because we can place the greatest quarterback at the top of the reasons why the Kansas City Chiefs are once again on the precipice of greatness. But if you really dial it back and take a big picture look, they are about to possibly win 3 Super Bowls in 3 different ways in the span of 5 years. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? They didn't have the money to have this amazing offense. Tyreek Hill leaves and goes to Miami. Tyreek Hill is an MVP candidate this season, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't like he went to Miami and all of a sudden he dropped off. He went to Miami and balled out. That's what is missing from Kansas City's first Super Bowl. They take him away. And this is where culture comes into place, because culture is not just on the field with the players. It's just not the coaches on the sideline, which they have Hall of Fame coaches on the sideline. It goes to Brett Veach. It goes to Clark Hunt. They have to make the tough decisions to say, yo, that's another thing about great culture. Great culture empowers you to make the tough decisions and move on. It was great culture that had Brett Veach tell Tyreek Hill, man, we want to keep you, but we cannot afford to give you this much money up front to make sure you fit within the cap. Tough decision. And since we lost all of this great offense, we're going to have to make this defense tougher. Now that we've lost Tyreek Hill, the defense has to become better. It's good, but it has to become better. And what do they go? They hit in last year's draft. They hit on 3 starters for the defense. 3. And then the year before, Trent McDuffie and Karlaftis become some of your best players. So that's 5 defensive players that they've hit on. Great culture, man, from top to bottom. Let's be honest. At times, and you guys let me know in the chat, please hit me up with this. Not the question of the day, but it's just part of the conversation. How many of you feel like that at times Notre Dame, above the field, not the coaches, not Marcus Freeman, not Brian Kelly, not the players, but Notre Dame, above the field, athletic director, administration, how many of you feel that they failed the football program at certain times? I want to see your comments in the chat. How do you guys feel about that? Because there's always going to be testing points of your culture. Your culture will always be tested. And if you try to answer the test the same all the time, you're probably going to come up a little bit short. Winning is always a choice. Winning is a choice, man. It's a consistent choice. You have to choose to win every day. Dude, I never forget this. My grandfather told me this. It was literally 2 days before I was about to get married. And I'm sitting next to my grandfather, and he said, son, every day you wake up, you can find a reason to leave. He said, every day you wake up, you can find a reason to leave. So you're going to have to choose to stay every day. And he was talking about marriage. And he was talking about keeping your mind in a place of evolving all the time. He was telling me you can't love your wife the same way a year from now. You have to love her, but you have to evolve. You have to improve. You have to stay romantic, right? I can't take my wife to the same, certain restaurants, the nostalgic that she still loves, but I can't take my wife to the same restaurants that I did when she was a teenager. As you can't. You can't. We're about to celebrate 25 years coming up on April 24th. And I'm sitting here like, what in the world am I going to get her for an anniversary gift, man? This has to be big. This is 25. It's the 25th. Maybe you guys can help me with gift ideas because I'm struggling at this point, man. I'm struggling. Doesn't have to be super expensive, but it has to mean something. It has to be special, right? And that's the same thing with the culture of Notre Dame. In order for Notre Dame, it's going to take a special team. It's going to take some special moments. It's going to take a special chemistry to break the streak since '88. It's going to take something special. And everybody connected to Notre Dame, from top to bottom, has to be bought in. Everybody from top to bottom at Notre Dame, they have to be bought in order for this thing to work. So I'm going to give you my top 3 cultures in college football. And hopefully he's probably driving through his zone. Hopefully he'll get back on shortly. The number 1 culture in college football, and I understand he's no longer there, but look, man, Alabama is the number 1 culture in college football. It absolutely is. And it goes back to something that Marcus Freeman even spoke about in establishing the culture that he wants. He wants the culture to be player-driven. The Alabama culture is definitely player-driven. It's definitely player-driven. And there is a coexistence. This is the beautiful mind of Nick Saban and what he created. He's able to be the face and the GOAT of all coaches, and yet still allow his players to be out front. It's a beautiful balance within that program. It really is. And he's created this almost Godfather-like effect. And it's almost like he is Vito and Kirby Smart is Michael. Just think about it. He's Vito, right? And Kirby Smart is Michael, right? Kirby Smart is trying to do it with the same foundation, but he's trying to make it global, right? He's trying to, take it to Vegas, right? And run the casinos instead of being partners with casinos, right? And he's starting to have greater influence politically, right? He's trying to set it up since he missed his chance to go ahead and get into politics like his dad wanted him to get in politics. He's trying to lay that foundation for his son. And that was the big thing about him having a son. Nick Saban brought Midwest-minded football to the talent in the South and created something that is beautiful. Now, let me tell you this. Dabo is off the Nick Saban tree. Let me tell you the difference between Nick Saban and Dabo, because Dabo was up for consideration at Clemson. But I think the last few years have kind of said, no, that culture is not as good as we thought. It's being tested, and they really failed the test a couple of times. Dabo refuses, in his stubbornness, to change with the times. And because he refuses to change with the times and says, I won championships this way, I'm not changing. This works for me. That's fine. That's admirable, Dabo. Stand 10 toes down and watch your program slowly decline. Because the same thing multiple times faced Nick Saban. Nick Saban loved having thumpers and game managers at quarterback. He got tired of teams every now and then. It wasn't even like it was consistently, but every now and then when he did lose in conference or out of conference, it was offenses that could spread his bigger players out and take advantage of them on the perimeter. So what did he do? He went and got smaller, faster linebackers instead of the thumpers. And then what did he do? He evolved his offense and went and got the Julio Joneses, the Devontae Smiths, the Henry Ruggses. That's what he went and did. He evolved as a coach. I'm sure he didn't like it. I'm sure when they were doing that to him, beating him with small ball, I'm sure he was like, this isn't football. What is this? Line up, take me on like a man. It's kind of like what George Foreman felt at the Rumble in the Jungle. He wanted Muhammad Ali, man, come on, come straight forward. Take me on like a man. Muhammad Ali was like, no, man, I'm playing to my strengths. My speed, my foot speed, my hand speed, my quickness, and my endurance. I'm going to take you out into deep water, my man, and see if you can live out there. He couldn't do it. He was tested. He couldn't do it. Alabama is so great is because with the Alabama culture withstood test after test after test. And even in his most difficult year coaching, in his own words, this dude still almost got it done. He was 4 minutes. Nick Saban was 4 minutes with Jalen Milroe as his quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Saban was 4 minutes with that horrible offensive line. Nick Saban was 4 minutes away from beating Michigan. He just couldn't pass that last test. The culture he created just didn't have enough to pass that last exam as he walked out the door. But even in that, you have to take a step back as a college football fan and say, yo, that's fantastic, yo. That's great culture. That's absolutely great culture. The second best culture in college football right now, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. As I said before, I'm very interested in seeing what Kirby can do. This is something Notre Dame has to learn. And this will point to one, I'm sure as soon as I say this, you guys will point to one game from the 2023 season. Was that 2018 where Georgia met Alabama in the championship game? Thoroughly outplayed Alabama for 3 quarters. Missed opportunities. Should have been blowing Bama out in that championship game. That's how badly they outplayed Bama. Missed opportunities. Possibly because they had a freshman quarterback that was a game manager, and Jake Fromm. They get to overtime. They make the field goal. They sack Tua. Now it's 3rd and long. And for some odd reason, in that moment, their culture fails because of execution and mental aptitude. That was a moment. The moment was set up for them perfectly. And they failed, giving up a big pass. How in the world in that situation do the safeties allow anyone to get behind them? Culture. your culture has to be tested. And as devastating as that loss had to be for Kirby Smart in Georgia, they have come to a place and grown their culture to a point where now their culture gets tested. It was tested by Ohio State, right? They won. It was tested by Alabama the previous year in the SEC championship game. And when they got an opportunity to test it against them again, they came through. But when did they come through, ladies and gentlemen? Championship game, they beat Bama in the fourth quarter. Ohio State the following year, they beat Ohio State after being outplayed for the majority of that game in the fourth quarter. Where did Alabama beat them in the SEC championship this year? Alabama beat them in the fourth quarter. Ladies and gentlemen, great teams, great cultures in college football always win the fourth quarter. You have to win the fourth quarter as a championship team. You have to. Michigan beat Alabama in the fourth quarter in the semifinals. They closed Washington out in the fourth quarter. Tie game against Ohio State. What do they do after they lose? Their best offensive lineman, Zinter. They rally and they dominate Ohio State for the rest of the fourth quarter. That's when your culture comes alive. That's when culture shows up more than any other time in a football game. That moment, when the test rises up, the culture rises up. That's why Alabama and Georgia are successful. Yeah, they walk out on the field the majority of the time and out-talent everybody. But the moments when they're facing other good teams, other great teams, and it gets tight, the culture comes to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, is that not the next step for Notre Dame? That's the next step for Notre Dame. That's it. Notre Dame got lucky against Duke. Let's be honest. They got lucky. They thoroughly outplayed Duke. They should have been up by 20 points on Duke. Missed opportunities, right? But let's be honest. Missed opportunities offensively have been the Notre Dame culture the first two seasons under Marcus Freeman. That's been the culture. You say, well, Sean, why did you say that? Because that's been the outlook. That's the outcome. I can only judge the culture by the results. Those are the results. So that's within the culture. There were still improvements offensively from 2022 to 2023. But that culture, or that within the culture, needs to change. Doesn't mean there's something wrong with the culture. It means that there are improvements that must take place, because the testings, when you fail, show you what needs to improve within your culture. So Georgia is the number 2 culture. And hopefully, is Mike Denbrock an answer to those offensive failures? I believe so. Many of you believe so. We have to wait and see. Do we feel like Riley Leonard is an answer to that testing, to those failures? I believe so. Many of you believe so. We have to wait and see. It's not going to be a lot of testings in the regular season. Look at the schedule. It's not a lot to test whether or not that next step has been made. Really not. We might just have to wait for that playoff game, that moment in that playoff game. You still might get a moment here or there in a game against Florida State in November, maybe ending the season in a big moment, needing a win on the road against USC to get into the playoffs or solidify that number 5 seed, to make sure that you get a lesser opponent and set your path up. Yeah, those type of tests, road tests, revenge, Louisville at home. You can consider that. Maybe Purdue, an improved Purdue team. Maybe they end up testing Notre Dame in a certain way. Maybe they do. But those tests are going to come. But the ultimate test for this team is going to be facing someone in the playoff that's just as good as you. This coaching staff is going to be tested. These players are going to be tested. And Howard Griffith said, in the new era of playoffs, logistics, buy-in, resources, getting teams back and forth with the schedule, making sure that they have equipment on site to be able to properly recover. Everybody has to be pulling on the rope together in this new era of college football playoff. And honestly, the breadcrumbs are there to say, with the transition with Jack Swarbrick and Pete Bavacqua, because I just don't want to give all the credit to Pete Bavacqua. And honestly, I think Jack Swarbrick has relented on some things that might not foundationally be within what he believes or what he feels like the culture should be. But he understands, I do want Notre Dame to be put in the best position to win. I will never say that Jack Swarbrick does not want to win. I think when you look at the totality of Notre Dame athletics, there's plenty of proof that Jack Swarbrick wants to win. His coaching hires, the way he delegates, the way he's run the athletic program, the national championships and other sports, the elevation of other sports and how they've improved, the consistency. He showed, I can run an athletic program at a place like Notre Dame and be successful, not just in one or two sports, but in a lot of sports. That's a difficult task. He was successful. And make Notre Dame and keep Notre Dame at the table when it comes to gatekeepers in college football. He did that. He set his predecessor, Pete Bavacqua, up nicely. So the overarching culture is fantastic. It's a great job. But you can have, what are you going to do with the culture? Now that is where I will push back just a little bit on Jack Swarbrick, because I know and I feel he wanted to win. Did he do everything within his power to assure the best chance to win? That's where the questions come in from the fan base. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Mike Brown. He's an improvement. We've seen that he's an improvement. I've tweeted it out yesterday. From everything I'm hearing, with recruits that were being recruited by the former wide receiver coach that he had to reconnect to, and the new offers at wide receiver, Mike Brown, without question, makes a hell of a first impression. It's evident. It's evident. Whether it's former recruits that he might have known or he didn't know, or the new offers that he possibly had a relationship with while at Wisconsin, or he's just seen the film and said, we need to offer this guy. The one thing that is a continuum from talking to these kids is that Mike Brown makes a hell of an impression initially. That bodes well in recruiting. Doesn't mean a darn thing when it comes to developing players. That's what we need to see, ladies and gentlemen. The Sun Bowl was a breadcrumb to make us feel like, oh, the wide receiver core played better. Was that the Mike Brown effect? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to see. We have to wait and see. I'm hearing great things on the recruiting side. When it comes to the development side, that's something we have to see. The next thing, the third. Now, this is up for debate because 1 and 2 were easy, right? 1 and 2 were easy. Alabama, Georgia, right? Clemson was up for it. But I couldn't put Dabo at 3 because Dabo has been unwilling within his culture to evolve as college football changes. And the way he won championships before, you can't win it that way. You can't win it that way, right? Then I thought about Ohio State. And I started to give the nod to Ohio State as having the 3rd best culture. And I asked myself, was the Urban Meyer era Urban or was it Ohio State? That's fair, right? The championships or the championship at Ohio State with Urban Meyer, was it Urban or was it Ohio State's culture? Right? Because we saw Urban do the same thing at Florida. Florida's nowhere near the top of my culture list in college football. That's the Urban Meyer effect, right? You can say that about Nick Saban in Alabama, but I mean, look, Alabama won championship with Gene Stallings. Multiple coaches have won championships at Alabama. Multiple coaches have won championships at Notre Dame. That's why you can never say, oh, it's a Brian Kelly culture. Oh, it's a Marcus Freeman culture. Like if Marcus Freeman wins the championship this year, there are still players that Brian Kelly recruited, but you can't say that's a Brian Kelly championship. Can't say that. I'm sorry. You can't say that's a Marcus Freeman championship. At the end of the day, that's a Notre Dame championship. And Marcus Freeman is at the head of it with his culture. He was able to do it with his culture in a different way than Era, Dan, Lou, New. He did it with his culture, but the Notre Dame culture still exists. The overarching Notre Dame culture. So I thought about Ohio State. And honestly, the Ohio State culture has always been just not good enough. Tons of talent, tons of pros all the time. Whether it was Woody, Bruce Earl, Cooper, Urban, Ryan Day. Ohio State's going to produce, I mean, dude, the state where they reside produces some of the best prep stars on an annual basis. It's a layup. But I just couldn't put Ohio State at 3. Because outside of Urban Meyer, they come up short. They come up short. That's their culture. With all of their talent, they seem to come up short. Then I thought about Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma, multiple coaches win championships. What Stoops created and what Lincoln Riley took over and continued when Bob Stoops retired. And even now, Brent Venables is out there. Got them to double-digit wins. Oklahoma's a strong candidate for having the 3rd best culture in college football. About 5 years ago, USC would have been an incredible candidate for culture in college football. Incredible. Just couldn't put them at 3. Somebody said this in the chat. Texas is on the rise. Texas on the rise. Absolutely. Is Sark there? I just don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and reluctantly say that the Michigan Wolverines right now have the third best culture. And this is why they are important to Notre Dame. 1 and 2, do it with the best of the best. Michigan did it with grit, hard work, and determination and relentlessness. They established a culture. They got tested, smacked in the face by Georgia. They come back. The next test against TCU, smacked in the face again. They come back, go through adversity. You cheating, all of that, whatever you want to call it, it's adversity. Everything they dealt with this year, not having their head coach for 6 games, adversity, going on the road, inconsistent quarterback play, their culture was tested. That program had to be player-driven this year. Had to be. And they got the job done. They got the job done. You have to give credit. So we as Notre Dame fans should be super amped that Michigan won. And you're like, well, Sean, why would you say that? Why in the world? I can't stand Michigan, right? I got a Muck Michigan's t-shirt. I can't stand Michigan. Michigan proved that your culture does not have to look like Alabama. It does not have to look like Georgia. And if you keep working and you stay relentless, you don't need a top 10 recruiting class every year to accomplish your goal. Ladies and gentlemen, for everyone that says Notre Dame will never be able to win because they can't recruit up to the level of Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. Well, how in the world is it that Michigan's culture was able to dominate Ohio State for 3 consecutive years? Just bully Ohio State and all of its NFL talent for 3 consecutive years without having top 10 recruiting classes. How? Jim Harbaugh believed in who he was. He believed in his identity. And he was willing to fail. You're not always going to win the first time. Ladies and gentlemen, Michigan has been in the college football playoffs 3 consecutive seasons. Three consecutive seasons. They've been in the college football playoffs. 3. It's not like the culture just passed the Ohio State test this year. Michigan has been passing the Ohio State test for 3 consecutive years. Heck, Jim Harbaugh, his first year in Ann Arbor, almost beat Urban Meyer. Literally. It was an inch. He was an inch away from beating Urban Meyer in Ohio State, at Ohio State, with his culture. Kind of sounds similar to that 2018 championship lost by Georgia. They were that close to beating Nick Saban in Alabama. And after that devastation, a lot of people or a lot of programs and a lot of cultures can go into the tank. That's why you have to salute Jim Harbaugh. And you have to salute Michigan. Even when they had a short step back during the pandemic season, and one another season, They believed in the culture. I have no doubt that Marcus Freeman believes in his culture. No doubt. No doubt. You listen to him talk, he reiterates the same things over and over again. He's telling you, this is the way we're going to win at Notre Dame. We have to be tough. We have to execute. We have to stop the run, and we have to be able to run the ball when people don't want us to run the ball. Sounds like Michigan. When everybody knows J.J. McCarthy is trash today. They have no passing game. Michigan lines up when everybody knows the only thing they can do is run the ball, and they find a way to run the ball. That's culture. That's culture. And the reason we said we're going to go through this list is to point out what we know Notre Dame can't do. They cannot. I think they're going to end up with a top 5 class. Absolutely. They have a great chance if they hit on Devin Williams, if they hit on Derek Meadows, I think Elijah Burr is fantastic. If they get a Lex Cyrus, oh my God, report came out yesterday. We already know, Deuce Knight told you, I'm not giving up on Jamie French. I'm trying to bring Jamie French with me. Report came out yesterday that Notre Dame is still working on Jamie French. They got to get him on campus this spring. They have to. So there's a chance that if Notre Dame can close with heavy hitters, there's a great chance that Notre Dame ends up with a top 5 class in recruiting. But Notre Dame is going to be closer to Michigan when they finally win than they will be Alabama or Georgia. So I thank Michigan for kicking the door in and proving to everybody else that you don't have to be like Alabama and Georgia. Because what we've seen from Clemson is that Dabo can't do it unless he has a top 5 class. To Clemson, they were getting those top 5 classes, and they won championships. They stopped getting those top 5 classes, and all of a sudden, you don't have that stud quarterback. All of a sudden, the Clemson way is not as effective. Jason Smith said it. The way Dabo runs things, his culture needs that dude at quarterback. DJ was highly ranked. Didn't work. Cade Klubnik out of Texas. Mr. Everything. How's that working for you, Dabo? And you still want to hold on. Cade's going to be fantastic. Okay, we're waiting. Year 3, uploading. Year 3 uploading. And that's why I get the nod to Michigan over the others. I thought long and hard. I have a lot of respect for Oklahoma and the continuity that they've had for years. And Brent Venable being able to get that team back to 10 wins. To go from Stoops to Lincoln to Brent, have a little bit of fall off, be consistent. Stoops had a little bit of that, he won 1 against Florida State. But Stoops, after that, had a little bit of that, we're real talented, but we just can't get it done. So, the LL question of the day, since we talked about culture, where does Notre Dame fit when it comes to top cultures in college football? Are they top 10? Are they top 5? Where do you think? Multiple coaches that have won national championships. Brian Kelly, all-time winningest coach. 3, 1 national championship game, 2 appearances in the college football playoff. Pretty good. Marcus Freeman, 9 wins his first year, 10 wins his second year. More wins in his first 2 seasons than Brian Kelly had. And you still feel like the program is trending. That's the question of the day. Where do you feel Notre Dame fits in college football when it comes to culture? Is it a top 5 culture? Is it a top 10 culture? Let us know. David Jones asked the question, top 5. As of now, the 2025 class is ranked number 1. So why the drop, Sean? Isn't indeed the leader for many really good players? Yes, really good players. They're not the leaders for the top 50 players. The top 50 players are going to Alabama, they're going to Georgia, and where Alabama and Georgia close, Ohio State closes all the time. Notre Dame was ranked number 1 when they had Keon Keeley, Peyton. Notre Dame, they're not new under Marcus Freeman to being number 1 early in recruiting. They've done that. They've done that. They're not going to hold on to the number 1 spot because they're not Alabama and Georgia. They're not. They're Notre Dame. And I think it's Roosevelt Carney who states it. I mean, there's just certain things about Notre Dame culture that's not going to get top guys. Oh, this is a great point. Shout out to the way you guys always respond and comment even after the show. Our conversation yesterday about, we were talking about the backyard states for Notre Dame and recruiting and how Malik felt like everywhere is a backyard state because Notre Dame is global. And it's like, no, that's not true. There are certain geographical areas like California has always been a backyard recruiting area for Notre Dame. Always been that way. Continues to be so. And that's 3,000 miles away. So it's not about geographics all the time, right? Ohio is historically has been a backyard place for Notre Dame to get top talent. They just got Brennan Vernon, top 5 player. But when we started talking about Alabama and Georgia, which was the focus of the conversation, and I thank you for someone that pointed out, sent me the article, because we were looking, I asked the question, who was the last top 5 kid in the state of Alabama and Georgia that Notre Dame got to come to Notre Dame? And initially, we thought we had to go all the way back to Safari to it. Somebody hit us up. Similar to the way Bryce Young, Gerby Lambert, other players, after committing, got bumped up. Kyle Hamilton got bumped up considerably in the last recruiting rankings after his commitment. He ended up on 247. On 247. That was the platform. 247 had him as the second best player in Georgia, and they had him as a 5-star. It was funny because I had to confirm this. I hit my boy B Driscoll. I had to confirm this. I'm like, yo. He was like, yeah. He was like, Kyle didn't get bumped up until like the very end. Wasn't like he was a 3-star when they got him. When he committed, he was a 3/4. And then, very late in the process, they bumped him up. So I was like, okay, that's great. We know that. But even with Kyle Hamilton, there's a caveat. Brian Driscoll, I have to give him credit, he brought this up. He said, Kyle Hamilton is not your average top 5 kid from Georgia. Kyle Hamilton didn't grow up like the majority of those kids in Georgia. His dad played in the league. His mom is successful. His brother played college football. There was no struggle. His mom didn't care about Alabama and Georgia. And she knew her son was going to get to the NFL. She experienced the NFL through his father. They knew the process. And his mom was more concerned about education. That's how Notre Dame shot to the top of the list, especially when they jumped on him early. He said, so even with them getting him, that was a special situation. And those are the type of players that Notre Dame, in those types of areas, like a Devin Williams, who's a little bit different, great relationship with Mike Mickens. We also said this, the only way, if Nick Saban had retired last year, Mike Mickens would have had a great shot at Jalen Mbakwe. Great shot. Great shot with Jalen Mbakwe if Nick Saban had retired last year. But the fact that he didn't retire into this year eliminated the chance to be able to break through. And that is something that Notre Dame in its identity, especially from states in the South, they're going to have to, I think they're getting Jalen Sneed, special situation. Why? Jalen Sneed's head coach played with Marcus Freeman, has a really good relationship with Marcus Freeman. Heck, his wife, Marcus Freeman, and his wife, they know each other. That's a special situation to be able to get one of the top 5 players out of South Carolina. Bryce Young, one of the top players in North Carolina. Special, to say the least, special situation. His dad is a Hall of Famer that was an All-American at Notre Dame, that coached at Notre Dame. Bryce spent time around Notre Dame. He knows Notre Dame. He knows what to expect. These are the type, if you're going to get those type of kids out of the state of North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, historically Notre Dame has gotten top kids out of Florida. Like if you go back to pre-Lou, Brian Kelly at the start of his tenure was able to get top players out of Florida. They had more success in Florida. But Alabama and Georgia, tough gets, man. Tough gets. And I'm not going to get into the sociological discussion about inner city, all of that. You know, we had Quincy Avery on. He clarified his statements about what kids want. I think Plies is doing a lot as an inner city youth from that area down there to speak to the future generation to say, hey, we got to do like Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. We need to step it up. He played college football, Plies did. So he understands the process. He understands not only seeing outside of music. Like you have to respect the way he went in. 5 years was hot, but then he used the resources that he got from that to build the rest of his life. You know, and sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, right? Isn't that what they say? And sometimes kids, man, they can't see the forest for the trees when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to their lives, right? They know Alabama, they know Georgia, they know Ohio State, they know I can go there and possibly have a great chance to win a championship. So ultimately, Marcus Freeman is going to have to win. So David Jones, they were being number 1 right now really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. Not when Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia are going to start racking up on top 50 kids and 5-star kids. And Notre Dame might have 1 or 2 in their class. They're not going to be able to hold that number 1 spot just on points. Just on points. Lucky Lefty podcast. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't want to be disrespectful and blow my nose on air. I got a little something. You guys, excuse me. So that's culture. I believe in Notre Dame's culture. I think Marcus Freeman is doing an incredible job of establishing culture. And We just have to take a wait and see approach, because it's not going to look like what Nick Saban created. It's not going to look like what Kirby Smart created. It's just not. It's going to look a lot like what Jim Harbaugh created. And Notre Dame has to be relentless. They flat out have to be relentless. So once again, Alabama, Georgia, and I give the nod to Michigan. Even I know Jim Harbaugh is not there, but the culture is the culture right now as it sits. They're the defending champs until a year from now, when somebody wins the championship, unseats them, they're on the throne. It is what it is. And strictly because of that, I have to give them the nod. Anthony Solomon, I agree. You know, getting they're on James Simon. If Dylan McCullough gets James Simon out of Louisiana, bro, that's a steal. That's a steal. Notre Dame is not about to go to Louisiana and get top 5 talent consistently. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Lucky Lefty podcast. Irish Steel says ND is a top 10 culture right now, but could catapult to top 3 if the Freeman guys pan out like we expect. ND will be fierce, fast, relentless, and strong if things keep going forward. Thank you for that, Irish Steel 63. Hey, that's what it's going to take. They're going to have to be a relentless program. They have to be. It's going to have to be a relentless program. It's going to have to be a relentless program. I'm trying to see if anybody else. Jason Smith says, I think it's coming. It's harder to get a real culture when the guys coming in are bigger dogs than the vets. That's interesting. But, you know, within that culture, you can have dogs coming in, and I respect the fact that Marcus Freeman has been consistent in saying, I'm not giving jobs away. You have to earn them in this culture. The way we do things at Notre Dame is that you earn them. You earn jobs and you earn them in practice. Marcus Freeman, I think it was controversial when he said that. Like, I don't do gamers. Excuse me. I don't do gamers. If you're not doing it in practice, you're not getting on the field. It is what it is. Lucky Lefty podcast. So we put the link. I'll put the link to the store for our merchandise in the chat once again. You guys can go check it out. No, Marcus Freeman did not hire Bullock. Mike Bullock is still a GA. They don't have any positions available to hire another coach. And so you guys are arguing. Stay nuanced, because we're not talking about just getting kids out of the South. Like CJ Mays from Alabama, they got him out of Alabama. He's not a top 5 kid in Alabama. Notre Dame had no shot with Ryan Williams. Like none. Never in consideration. They had a small chance with Jalen Mbakwe, but that was because of Mike Mickens. So the argument is whether or not kids in the South, look at, dude, Notre Dame gets kids from Texas, they get kids from Florida, like they get kids from the South. They just got kids from North Carolina. They've gotten kids from South Carolina. They're on South Carolina kids in the 25 and 26 class. Can they get the game breakers from those states? Can they get the #1 player from those states? Can they beat Georgia and Alabama head up? Can they beat them head up for a kid? Those are the questions. That's the bigger question. You can find talent all over the South without getting the main guys. The question is, can they make the jump to get those guys from those areas? Honestly, that's the big question. That's the big question. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Before we get into some recruiting updates and where the coaches are this weekend, I just wanted to go on and be able to show you guys. We put the store in the link with the merchandise, or the link to the store in the link. And I'm going to share the screen right now. Make sure I share the right screen. There we go. Stay with me. I have the man. I didn't know I was going to end up doing a solo show. I have no clue what happened to Left and his signal. There we go. All right, here we go, guys. Lucky Lefty store. And we started out with 3. We launched. I'll go to the bottom. You see here the logo. We got the sweatpants along with the hoodie. Sweatpants have the logo there on the left side. That's stitching, just so you know. The logo is stitched. I like the cuff fit right there at the bottom. That's my look. Go to the back. Once again, early bird, 10% off your order. If you put in the code early bird, all caps at the end. You can use credit card, Afterpay, break it up into 4 payments. We have the hoodie. As you see right here, stitched right there, left part of the chest. You go to the sleeve. You see right there the LL logo with the football on the left sleeve at the bottom. Fantastic. We're going to actually add colors to this. We're going to put this in a white one. We're going to add the white hoodie today, as well as the orange hoodie. The white hoodie and the orange hoodie will be available as well at the end. I think those will be up at about 7:00 p.m. All right. Of course, we have the mug that has Spin It Different on one half with the LL logo on the other half. Show you guys that's the Spin It Different on this half. LL, the logo on the other half. Split the difference, man. Spin it different. This right here is the t-shirt, the logo t-shirt. This is the front with the logo on the left chest. You go to the back, it says Spin It Different on the back. Go through a couple of other things. So that's our, now we go from the logo additions to our Spin It Different. A lot of people love this and show love. This is the Spin It Different. And what's different about that is that we wanted to have, you know, almost like the words were going as a football, like going around the hoodie. So you have, you know, half of it on the back. You have the other half on the front with the Spin It Different. And then the right sleeve is the actual LL logo right there. The dope concept is the Spin It Different hoodie. We love it. Shout out to Fashion Geek Zoe once again for inspiring us with the design. as you can see right here, whether it's the women's tee or the regular t-shirt or the crew neck or the hoodie, the Spin It Different version has Spin It Different on the front, and then you have the LL logo right there at the top on the back. And then last but not least, that's the second collection we released. Our third collection is paying homage to Notre Dame. Our logo is orange, white, black. So of course we had to find a way to spin it different. And we pay homage to Notre Dame, the team that we cover, with the 1842 collection. And what we mean by that is we put the Lucky Lefty words inside of the striped end zones in the design. And it's super dope. I love it. Absolutely love it. So those are the striped end zones. We put Lucky Lefty, or put those inside of Lucky Lefty. And then on the back, 1842, brightest day, right? You have different colors. We have it in the black. It's fat. We have it in green. If you want to rock the Notre Dame colors with the 1842 on the back. And then we have it in navy blue, another Notre Dame color. It pops on the front with their navy blue. Love it. We're paying homage to Notre Dame and the end zones and what the stripes stand for, which is 1842, which is the beginning of the University of Notre Dame. And that Lucky Lefty 1842 collection, man, is something we really wanted to do because we wanted to find a way to connect to Notre Dame since we are a Notre Dame-centric podcast. Lucky Lefty podcast, man. All right, Left is back in the building. Left, what's good, bro? Left, you with me?
The tire got popped, so I had to, make some
Oh, no.
maneuvers.
Oh, that's, bro.
So it's all good. 'Cause, we definitely spin it different, and them tires were spinning different after it got that hole in it. So I had to make sure got to a good location. Everything was all right. So I really love the website, by the way. Like you said, the detail, the stripe end zone
Yeah.
with the Lucky Lefty with the 18. I mean, that they might have to put that in a bookstore now. They might have to put that on the next to Marcus Freeman collection. Just put a little Lucky Lefty
Yeah.
store in there. So.
Yeah. Now, with trademarking and everything, we had to, man, this is the thing. Trademarking. So, we were going to launch the Misguided Passion line as well.
Ooh,
Initially.
yeah, that's hot.
Misguided Passion. Misguided Passion is trademarked.
Is it really?
So it's trademarked, dude. So we had to find a way. Either we have to put a hyphen in Misguided or something. Or just say Home of the Misguided Passion. We have to find a way to put it on the T-shirt to connect it to the podcast and connect it to Notre Dame. But those are the type of things you go through when you create a T-shirt. The Screen Popper T-shirt, man, I can give them a tease of the Screen Popper T-shirt. It has not been released, but I can kind of show them what it's going to look like. It's coming up. I'll just give a tease to the design because it probably would look different on the T-shirt and the different types of T-shirts. But the design of it is absolutely amazing.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. Under Armour might have to do a little side deal for the Lucky Lefty podcast, man.
Man, Under Armour, just let us take over the Marcus Freeman connection. Just let us take it over.
That's it.
We'll make sure it's funky fresh. Here you go, love. There it is. That right there, the Screen Poppers, right? Now, in this design, we had to make sure. Yeah, dude, we had to make sure that we took pictures. We had to make sure that there are no logos. So we're going to have to blot out. That's another thing we're working on. We got to block the Under Armour joint. We're going to have to block that out. It's a lot we're going to have to do. the ND on a sleeve there. We're gonna have to make sure that's not visible. Like it's a little tweaks to make sure we get the t-shirt, but like the Screen Popper t-shirt is gonna be one of the next t-shirts to drop. So
Ooh,
yo, we're
collection.
working. You guys have been patient waiting on the merchandise. Absolutely. We're hitting you up with the collections, dude. We're gonna have the hoodie. And definitely we have to do a Screen Popper. We have to do a Screen Popper trucker hat. Got to.
Oh, absolutely.
Got to. Got to do a Screen Popper
That's gonna
trucker
set
hat.
it off right
So
there.
that's what's coming. Yeah, yeah. So Left, I'm gonna allow you to get your top three. I gave my top three cultures in college football. And we heard from fans that said they think Notre Dame's culture is top 10 right now. But I just want to give this update. Marcus Freeman and Mike Mickens are going to be together after being separate. Yesterday, Mike Mickens was down in Georgia checking in on Devin Williams. They're going to be in the DMV area in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, checking in on prominent schools. You know, the Gonzaga Prep, St. John's, Friendship, DeMatha Catholic. You know, most people know DeMatha for basketball, but that program has picked up steam a lot lately. As a matter of fact, I think they faced off against Gonzaga and beat Gonzaga in the championship this year, if I'm not mistaken. Double check that. I'll double check that. Mike Denbrock will be in Utah, Left. Are you cool with Mike Denbrock going to Utah, Left?
I've been to Utah for some football.
He's
It's
going
not
to
too
Utah
bad.
to check. He's going to Utah to check in on 2026 tight end Brock Harris, dude. So as long as that fits your geographical and positional, Mike Brown, who's doing a fantastic job, will be in North Carolina checking on Dudley High School, Nasir Newkirk, 2025 wide receiver, who's fantastic. And Mike Brown is putting in work, bro. And as I said before, from everything I'm hearing, his first impression with all these kids has been fantastic and has put Notre Dame at the top of the list for most of the wide receivers that he's been in contact with. Joe Rudolph, he's going to be checking in on 2025 offensive tackle Owen Stribick up in Wisconsin, trying to close the deal, man. The feeling I get is that Owen Stribick ultimately commits to Notre Dame sometime during the spring on a weekend visit or at the blue and gold game. That's how I foresee it. Are they going to have to fight off Wisconsin and Michigan and some other schools? Yes. But I think eventually, especially with Jim Harbaugh leaving, even though Sharon Moore is his main recruiter and is the offensive line coach as well as the OC, I still think Notre Dame is slightly ahead of the Wolverines. And I do think Jim Harbaugh leaving will have an impact on his recruiting. But you always have to keep watch on Wisconsin, you know, who I don't think are really as close as Michigan right now, but they bear watching. Gino Gaduli, he is checking on Deuce Knight. You darn right. Go see Deuce Knight every month, every 2 weeks. Whatever you have to do to keep Deuce Knight in this class. Gino this week, Mike Denbrock next week, Marcus Freeman the week after that. Send GAs, man, send him coupons and gift cards to Waffle House. Whatever you have to do to keep Deuce Knight in this class, you do the most. Do it.
It's a year-long process.
Heck yeah.
Because
do whatever you have to
how
do.
long do you have to wait? We got a whole season.
Yeah.
Damn.
The whole 10 months. Chris O'Leary will be in North Carolina. Dealer McCullough will be down. Once again, we just talked about this, Left. The success historically that Notre Dame has been able to have with top players in Florida. They've been able to pluck top players out of there, here, there. Dealer McCullough is down there once again. I'm sure he's going to check in on Thurman and then some other talent down there. Your boy, Marty Biaggi, he's out in Hawaii. That's another state that can be considered a backyard state. I think Notre Dame considers Hawaii backyard. USC considers Hawaii backyard. BYU and Utah consider Hawaii backyard. All four of those schools have gotten top talent out of the state of Hawaii. Al Washington is going to be in Kentucky, and he's going to be checking in on some of those new offers on the defensive line in the state of Tennessee as well. Shout out to Al Washington, man. Shout out to Al Washington, scanning the
Yeah, shout
globe.
out to Al Washington, man, for definitely being able to bounce back in a recruiting effort where he probably wasn't the strongest recruiter on staff, but he
Mhm.
became a better one, learning from the mistakes. So shout out to Al Washington on that. And also, yeah, the Deuce Knight recruitment was a good case study for retention on a program that's trying to build something with a position that has yet to be proven as a position worthy of recruiting top talent. So to be able to secure Deuce Knight in terms of him being on campus and locking in on that contract would show a huge move for Marcus Freeman as a recruiter. And I think that's the highlight that you want to stick to, because now Marcus Freeman as the recruiter matched with having wins puts him in that top 5% category of coaches and programs that you want to be a part of, to where when he gives that phone call out, okay, that has some heavy weight to maybe where he doesn't have to get in the plane all the time and go out. Maybe the phone call starts to be enough.
Uh, so go ahead, Left. Give your three best cultures in college football. I want to see where you land on this.
Up to this point,
Yeah.
I think Ohio State has been a great cultured program, from a consistency in the conference, long term success. They've produced a championship out of it. Some great coaches, NFL players that hold some weight. So they've been very consistent and successful in a lot of areas, especially when it comes to what wins mean against them. And
Hmm.
a win against them for a program like Notre Dame, we talked a lot about it being a perspective change on the program, something that holds a little bit more weight than just winning. It shapes how we view the program in a bigger picture, and a program that has that can carry that just because you beat them shows that they're a program that has a culture that uh, is pretty strong. So I would say Ohio State is probably one of those cultures. Alabama with Nick Saban is obviously a very strong culture, uh, through consistency, obviously, and just the greatness from it. And then following that, Georgia, I would say, is a consistent program right now culturally. I mean, they don't let top guys get out of the state usually. I think that's a big sign for having a stable culture, is in-state guys that are very loyal to the school itself. So Georgia is obviously, them and Alabama are two places where culture is very strong football wise. And then
Hmm.
I would say Oregon as a one-off. I think Oregon's football culture is very strong. A lot of it due to the resources that are football compatible. Obviously optically. I mean, they got every color that you can imagine for jerseys, and the money behind it is always keeping them relevant, even if they're way in the corner and nowhere. And for their geographically to be as strong as they are nationally, just shows that only a strong culture can keep that team even relevant. Just down the street, Oregon State is so irrelevant compared to Oregon as a national program, and they only
Hmm.
10 blocks from each other. So it just shows you the brand of Oregon football and what it means to college football is super strong. I mean, they were the first to drop those colorway college Jordans.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Where, oh, got to get that Oregon pack. You know what I mean? So from a football culture, I mean, it's a very strong brand for it to be where it is, and for what it means to college football on a yearly basis.
Yeah. Left. We agreed. We knew that the top two were going to be easy, right? Alabama, Georgia. We knew. Um, for me, number three was really difficult, right? I would have immediately said Clemson if not for the recent demise, in my opinion, and the stubbornness of Dabo. I would have easily said the culture that Dabo created was the third best culture. I think what Sark is building at Texas could be a top 3 culture in years to come. I had Ohio State under consideration for the third spot, but I had to ask the question. The culture of Ohio State before Urban Meyer was a bunch of talent, but not good enough. John Cooper had talent, couldn't get it done. Earl Bruce had talent, couldn't get it done. Urban Meyer comes in, finally gets it done. Urban Meyer leaves, Ryan Day gets a bunch of talent, can't get it done. So to me, the culture of Ohio State is almost an underachieving culture with the amount of talent that they constantly get. I had to be fair. Oklahoma could be seen as the same. Oklahoma for years has had multiple coaches win national championships, from Bud Wilkinson to Stoops. Lincoln Riley has been on the precipice of winning championships. Your other guy that won a championship with the Cowboys in the NFL as well. I forget his name. You know what I'm talking about. But either way, that's a program that has been consistent. Brent Venables winning 10 games this year probably has the program heading in the right direction. Oklahoma was a culture that you have to say, yo, they can be up there as well. But I went ahead and gave the nod for my third slot to Michigan. I just did. 3 consecutive years of banging Ohio State, 3 consecutive years in the college football playoff, and finally getting over the hump. And then getting over the hump, beating Michael Penix in Washington, the best offense, and beating one of the best defenses and the genius that is Nick Saban to do it. It's very impressive. Now, the caveat is Jim Harbaugh is no longer there, but we're not talking about tomorrow.
But
We're
the
talking about
caveat too is also their competitive advantage. Those 3 years they were able to get that done as well. So
yeah.
that's why I think that's a complete fraud as a Michigan standpoint, only because their success was too closely tied to their competitive advantage they were using in that short span of time. Now, on
Let
the
me ask you a
back end,
question. Let me ask you a question. Did they have the competitive advantage against Alabama this year?
no. What
Did
I
they
was
have one?
saying is,
Go ahead. I just wanted to bring that up because I agree. There is an asterisk or a question mark that will forever be put next to what they've done.
I'm only pointing out to say it's not organically done. Not saying that they couldn't have success with it, but it wasn't organically done due to the fact that the numbers were too closely tied to when it happened.
Mm.
Now, well, I also say that is because before those 3 years, they was getting spanked for 7.
Yeah.
So we just gonna forget them 7 years, but they was just getting completely embarrassed through coaches, through quarterbacks, through defensive court, through their whole structure.
That's a good
Harbaugh was
point.
about to get fired. Harbaugh was
When you
about to
talk
get
about
fired 3 years ago.
yeah, when you talk about continuity, you're right. You're right.
So I can't put Michigan in there. However, I think if we're just talking straight football culture, my runner up to Oregon would be Nebraska, just because, you know, Nebraska as a state celebrates the football team and brings the football culture every year.
Now that's a good point. They might have the best. Well, we can do this possibly tomorrow. Who has the best fan culture? I'm interested in seeing if Notre Dame fans can be subjective in that conversation. Because Nebraska definitely probably has one of the top 3 fan
Loyal, they put
loyal
money in their
fan. Yeah,
program.
yeah,
They always gonna show up, even if they stink. I
yeah,
mean, it's a very, very football friendly environment. I think just culturally one of the better places to be. So they just don't win nothing. Now, if
yeah,
they won something, they would easily be number 2 behind Alabama.
yeah. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Their football culture and their fan culture is absolutely amazing on that side of the conversation. I agree with that. Lucky Lefty podcast. Left, did you know that Sports Illustrated released their top 25 way too early poll for 2024? Where do you think Notre Dame lands on that list, Left?
Man, if they ain't top 5, they should be cut like the swimsuit crew for Sports Illustrated. They should all be cut. That's what I think.
Well, we don't want
But
to make fun of cuts at Sports Illustrated considering what's been happening the last week. I don't want to make light of that.
that's
But
fun. But I do
they
think they
did not
probably
make the top 25. I mean, they did not make the top five. I'm sorry.
we're probably like in the 15 and below club, 15 to 20 range. Am I
Notre Dame
close?
sits at Notre Dame sits at number 6.
Really?
They're ranked number 6 in the top way too early top 25.
We're getting
And
respect by national outlets?
and to go to the point that we said where the litmus test games are not there or the narrative changing games are not there in the schedule, Florida State is ranked 10th, Louisville is ranked 22nd, and USC is ranked 23rd.
What's hilarious is that somebody told us yesterday ESPN rankings don't count. That's what they
Hey
said
man,
yesterday. They said ESPN. But you know what's funny? I do think that even with the rankings, it still ain't a big game in my mind. As a program, as we looking at things objectively, you can't tell me USC with the non-defense that they had last year, the non-defense that showed up, and the offense that we were able to quell with a Heisman guy at the quarterback position, that they're somehow a threat the next year with a new quarterback, worse
mhm,
defense, and a questionable run game at that. So no, I'm not thinking nothing about USC. Louisville is a flash in the pan because I believe that their quarterback just doesn't have enough to beat us. Period.
yeah, yeah,
We have a quarterback that at least hell we can start running him if it gets too bad. You know what I mean? Like we got options.
yeah. Can I
And
can I
then
vindic
last
can I
team,
vindicate you a little bit, Left? Can I read something from the article that may vindicate you a little bit? Because I think you took a lot of unnecessary heat when you were really trying to have a solid, nuanced conversation around Riley Leonard transferring to Notre Dame. Can I read a little excerpt from the article for you?
yeah, the one that we didn't write, right? This is another
No,
source.
this is another source, national writer, not Lucky Lefty
Oh,
podcast.
somebody with credit. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
somebody that does this for a living.
yes. And this is how it reads, Left. Riley Leonard is this year's ACC transfer quarterback following Sam Hartman last year. Leonard is a good athlete and productive runner who still has some proving to do as a passer. But the return of Mike Denbrock as offensive coordinator after 2 seasons at LSU could be just what he needs to take the next step. The Fighting Irish defense was strong in 2023 and should remain so, especially in the secondary. At a time when most schedules are getting much tougher, Notre Dame is largely the same in terms of number of heavyweight opponents. Look for the Irish to have one of the best records in the country. That's from Pat 40. Pat 40, much respected at Sports Illustrated. I want to reiterate, what did he say there, Left? Riley Leonard is a good athlete and productive runner who still has some proving to do as a passer.
This is going to put a challenge on Denbrock because one, we already know it takes 2 years. That's the first thing. Two, Riley Leonard isn't the talent Jaden Daniel is in terms of the natural passing ability. I think Riley Leonard runs a little harder, different style of running. It's the difference. So it's
Mhm.
going to be a challenge for Denbrock to try to meet an expectation of 2 years for a 1 year guy. I think that's just going to be hard to do. But Riley Leonard has potential to do things to help this team win, where I think we have a better team than what LSU had, right? So it should all work in balance.
I agree with that. I agree with
But
that.
we said the same thing though. We said the same exact thing though. We think we're gonna have a good regular season, one of the better ones in the country.
Yep.
We're just putting it on the playoffs. That's what we're putting it
Yep. And you
on.
said, and you talked about and pointed out after watching film, you pointed out, yo, he has not proven. that he can do what needs to be done in the passing game in big moments.
That's it.
And you took a lot of heat for it. And here we go. The national media seems to think the exact same thing, that needs to still be proven.
We ain't
Doesn't
blind now.
doesn't
Doesn't
mean he
mean we
can't.
don't like him.
Doesn't mean he can't do it. Right? Hey, perfect example. Patrick Mahomes had to prove he could win on the road in the playoffs. Did he not?
I mean, let's be serious. Did he have to prove even
Yes.
that?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, but he had not done it. So therefore it had to be proven, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
Didn't mean that he was incapable of doing it, but he had to prove it. I think he passed that test with flying colors.
Oh man, he passed it in the first quarter.
So
10 for 10? Come on, man.
Riley Leonard has not done it in big moments via the pass game. He didn't do it via the pass game against Notre Dame. They went to his legs in the run game to get the offense going against Notre Dame. He has to, that is going to be his proving ground. And heck, the bigger picture is that's the proving ground for Notre Dame in big games.
Yeah.
That's the proving ground for Notre Dame. So we're going to see. I do agree that Mike Denbrock is a huge advantage in comparison to what Sam Hartman had. Huge advantage.
Well, we'll still hold on now. Let's be fair. We still average the most we've averaged in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that point total went up now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Against mid-level teams, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. What was that point total against Duke, Ohio State, and Louisville? Not the same. Considerable drop off offensively.
we didn't call the same game either though. So that's why I don't know what happened.
But isn't that the strength of, as we get ready to get out of here, Left? Isn't that the strength of culture? You had dropped off. I made this point. I want to see what you think about it. If the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl in a week and a half, do you realize that they will have won the Super Bowl 3 different ways in 3
How
different
so?
styles? Okay, they won with offense and Tyreek Hill, the first one. That was all offense. They lose Tyreek Hill. They replace him with Juju Smith-Schuster. And their offense is totally different. And their defense is young and better. Their defense becomes a top 10 defense with 5 first two-year starters. Who does that? They literally won the Super Bowl with the second youngest team. They have the second youngest team and won the Super Bowl. This year, they get rid of both tackles, 2 brand new tackles. Offense sputtering all year. Patrick Mahomes throwing more interceptions than ever. Defense is top 3 now. It has evolved to top 3, second in points allowed behind the Ravens. They're going to win the Super Bowl 3 different ways, bro. 3 different types of teams. Patrick Mahomes is literally playing and managing the game and playing to his defense. Patrick Mahomes never worried about doing that, but he did it this year. That's culture, bro. When you have great culture, you can win with different types of teams. You're not always going to have that dominant offensive team that can just blow everybody off the field.
But you got that guy. Michael Jordan won the championship a whole bunch of different ways. Because it's Michael Jordan.
Oh, absolutely.
He won it in 6 different ways.
Yeah, but see, Notre Dame is not. Notre Dame is going to look a lot more like Michigan when they win the championship than they will Alabama under Saban. Notre Dame is not about to load up on 5, 6, 5 stars every recruiting class. That's not happening. When Notre Dame wins the championship, they're going to be a tough-minded team that has step by step gotten themselves to a point. Now, I'm not about to sit here and say I feel like the quarterbacks they have are going to be better than anything J.J. McCarthy did the last 3 years for Michigan. I have to see it, but just from a talent standpoint, I believe that the quarterbacks they have are going to be able to produce better in big moments than J.J. McCarthy.
Well, the talent we getting, yeah. I think
But see,
CJ can even do a little something, you know.
yeah, I think Nick Saban and the culture he established won with different types of teams. He won with defenses that had 250-pound linebackers. Then he switched up and won with linebackers that were 215, 220. He won with A.J. McCarron. He won with Tua. Like, dude, he's won with different. He's won with different types of offenses. He's won without top wide receivers. He's won with top wide receivers.
Whoa. When has he won without top wide receiver?
His first championship against Texas. Who were his wide receivers?
Yeah, Julio.
No, he did not.
Hold on now. Now I gotta
No,
look
he did not. Julio was the class after the championship against Texas.
What year? 2011?
No, that's like 28.
He always had all-star receivers. Every time he won championship.
Championship at LSU. Go look at that roster.
I'm talking about Alabama.
I'm just saying. Just period. He's won championships without a big time. Oh, absolutely.
What year did they win?
2000. I'm trying to think. Was that 2007? You might be right. That might have been Julio's freshman year.
They ain't never won no championship.
It might have been Julio's freshman year.
You gotta have an all-star receiver if you want to win a
Oh,
championship.
matter of fact, he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
On that team.
He was Blitnikoff damn near at that point. Amari Cooper, when they beat us in championship 2012.
He was a freshman. Now I know Amari Cooper was a freshman that year.
And Amari Cooper ate us up. He had like 100 yards in the first half or something crazy on like 3-4 catches. It was something stupid. Yeah, Saban's always had an all-star receiver anytime he's won a championship.
This is a kicker, dude. Julio only had 43 receptions that year.
Yeah, that's when you was running the football, but them 43 receptions probably for like 1,500 yards.
That goes to my point. They were running the football. Trent Richardson, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry.
Yeah, they had
right?
Dudes.
He beats Clemson and Dabo with Derrick Henry and Jake Coker at quarterback. Running the football. Then he comes right back with all these wide receivers and beats Georgia in the championship game with a true freshman quarterback into it. Like, this dude has won championships with 3 different styles of teams. That's why he's the GOAT. I think Bill Belichick won championships with different styles of teams. And the crazy thing is, he lost the Super Bowl with his best offense, which is crazy. Which actually shows you how hard it is to win, honestly.
Yeah, it's just hard it is to win. Yeah, it's just hard to win.
That really shows you how hard it is to win. Like, the defensive genius has his best offense and loses to Steve Spagnuolo and the New York Giants and Tom Coughlin. All right, Left. Anything else? Before we get out of here, man.
That's about it, man. We covered it.
Shout out to, I'm seeing updates, which doesn't shock me, and somebody else put it in the chat. 4 Notre Dame players are at the Senior Bowl as Senior Bowl practices begin. Javonte, JD, I think Sam Hartman, and Cam Hart. I believe those are the 4 Notre Dame players at the Senior Bowl. And from everything I'm seeing on Twitter, and somebody brought it up in the chat, this cat Cam Hart is out here locking cats down. Which, we've been saying it for years. The only thing that stopped Cam Hart was being 100% healthy. Period. When you saw Cam Hart struggle, it's because he was playing through injury. One of the toughest players, one of the best representations of Notre Dame football on and off the field is Cam Hart. Now he's fully healthy, and you're seeing him rock out. You're seeing him rock out. If Cam Hart's medicals check out, and he goes to the combine and runs at least, would you say Cam has to run at least a 4.5 left? I think Cam Hart can sneak into this. Go ahead.
Because of his length, he doesn't have. I'm not concerned with him running too fast. I think his tape and his length can get him drafted. I think because regardless, I don't think he's first round technically.
No, I think he could be top 50, second round.
Yeah, so because of that, I think he might drop into the third because he's not a 4.4 guy. But if he's at 4.6, I think he still will get drafted where he would anyway because he's still got good tape. And I think the draft this year is just built differently. I think it's more focused on tackles and quarterbacks and receivers this year. And, the DB is always going to be high. I just don't think he's the first DB,
No. Lefty Podcast, GTB question before we get out of Big Licks Burner. Any idea when the new arrivals will have media availability? All availability per what we've received via communication from Notre Dame starts next week. The new coaches, transfers, and incoming freshmen. All of that starts next week. And I think it coincides with the dead period. I think coaches will be back off the road from recruiting, go into the dead period, and then that's when Notre Dame will have media availability for everybody moving forward. All right. Thank you for everybody that tapped in today. Great conversation with you guys. And once again, the link is in the chat. Well, it's also on our social media page on Instagram, and also you can go get it over at Twitter X on the Lucky Lefty Pod. If you haven't followed us at Lucky Lefty Pod, Twitter X and Instagram. And we're going to have a store up on TikTok soon, right, Lef?
That's right. Working on TikTok shop as we speak.
Oh, I forgot. I got to play this, but now I'm going to play it in Petty Train. It's perfect. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, Petty Story of the Day brought to you by ONORA Whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. Yo. NFL conspiracies. I want you to check this out. Boomer Esiason and Nate Burleson, they did the pre and post game at the AFC Championship. And like most people on the East Coast, they reside in New York. So instead of taking the plane, which is a painful process, they just went straight to the train station in Baltimore and took the quick hour and 45-minute trip on that speedy Amtrak. And while they were on the train, they had a run-in with a conspiracy theorist, Left. And this is Boomer Esiason talking about that experience with him, Nate Burleson, and the coach, Bill Cowell.
You. And by the way, the Raven fans couldn't have been any nicer at the stadium and even in this situation for the most part.
Yeah.
Except for one total asswipe douchebag. As we are sitting there, this guy decides to come over and say, hey, nice to meet you guys. Good to see you. I'm trying to watch the game here. Coach is trying to watch the game. Nate's off to the bathroom. And we say, fine, see you later. So he walks back and sits down right across from us. He's looking right at us. And then he decides that he's going to come over and he's going to talk to us about how the NFL's rigged.
Oh, God.
And he's using very colorful language. And I'm just sitting there, and I said to the guy that's sitting next to me, the giant guy, I said, look, do you see what's happening here? Do you see this guy talking? And I'm not really looking at him. I'm not acknowledging him. But coach decides to get into some sort of discussion with him.
Oh,
some
no.
Sort of argument.
Why?
And I'm like, I'm sitting, and coach is awesome, right? But he'll defend the NFL. Like, I don't want to hear this crap from some drunk ass fan who just lost a bet.
Don't you be peeing on the shield.
Right, exactly. So I understand, and I know Coach is a Hall of Famer, and he will die with that shield, as I will, but maybe not as intense as him. So they're kind of like in this conversation. I got my head down, I'm watching the game, and I look over at the guy sitting next to me. I said, do you see what's going on here? And he goes, yeah. I said, are you aware? You're not drunk, right? No, he's not. Are you aware of like what may happen here in a second? And he's like, yes. And I said, did we do anything to incite this guy? Did we do anything to even bring this guy over here to have him talking to my friend Coach Cowher this way? And he goes, no. I said, well, listen, if he gets any closer, I may have to get up and just effing smash this guy right in the face. And I'm like pissed off now. I'm trying to watch the goddamn game. This idiot's screaming about how the NFL's rigged, and it's all this, that, and the other thing, and he's using this F-bomb this, F-bomb that, and I'm like,
look, man. Excuses are excuses, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. But this whole sports are rigged, NFL is rigged, is really disrespectful to athletes, honestly, and the work they put in. It's disrespectful, man. It's disrespectful to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and their culture to say the NFL just wants the Chiefs in the championship all the time. If that's the case, why show up for camp, training camp? Why put in all the off-season work? For what? If everything is controlled by Big Brother? Could it be the fact that refereeing is just kind of bad across all sports right now? Just bad. They're going to miss calls. Someone literally put up a clip this morning. Somebody put up a clip this morning where Chris Jones literally got tripped in the end zone. Tripped. The referee is standing right there. It should have been a safety. He got tripped. But it's funny how when you only want to talk about one side of the equation, no one else talks about the other missed calls that were missed all game against the Chiefs. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody. None. No matter how rigged you think it is, you can't rig that last shot Michael Jordan hit against Utah. He either has to hit it or miss it. The game winner in game 1 in 97. If they rigged the rim, is that what they did? They rigged the rim?
Do you think they can?
LeBron's chase down block against the Warriors, that was rigged too. Andre Iguodala, he was in on it. He slowed down to allow LeBron to catch up.
Do you think that games can be navigated certain ways?
Like, dude, you can navigate anything. You can put anything in position. What's the ref's name? The ref's name that got caught up?
Tim Donahue.
Yo, he proved that you can manipulate a game as a ref.
Okay,
it's been proven that refs and players have been on the tape in professional college sports for years. But I'm not going to be dumb enough to disrespect the efforts of professionals to say their efforts have no impact on a football game. And when you say something is just totally rigged, that's what you're saying. You're saying Patrick Mahomes walking in going 30 of 39 for 252 against the #1 defense that stumped out everybody had no impact on them winning. Roger Goodell was the reason that the Chiefs won the game. That's disrespectful. And it's stupid. That's my opinion. I'm not calling people stupid. It's stupid to go that far to the left. That every time somebody loses that you might want to win, that, oh, it's rigged. But you won't look at the other side. Like Chris Jones literally got tripped in the end zone. That's 2 points. That's the safety. He got held by the offensive lineman, and the running back literally stuck his leg out and tripped him. Nobody is talking about that clip. Nobody's talking about that play. If it was so rigged and slanted to the Chiefs, don't you think they would have called that? We talked about the offensive holding on Trey Smith yesterday. That had nothing to do with the play. Nobody wants to talk about that. There are bad and questionable calls on both sides. Every game. Every single game. As a Bulls fan left, I will sit here and tell you, Michael Jordan benefited from getting the calls all the time. But you're not about to sit up here and tell me Michael Jordan didn't earn his championships. David Stern just gave those 6 championships to Michael Jordan.
No, but David Stern let Shaq go to Orlando.
Absolutely. He blocked the Lakers from getting Chris Paul.
Yes.
So I agree totally. You can shape things for business purposes as a league, as a commissioner. Absolutely. Do you really think Roger Goodell wanted to stand on that podium after suspending Tom Brady and hand that Super Bowl trophy to Tom Brady? You really think that's what Roger Goodell set up? You really think he wanted to go through that? Come on, man. At what point do we recognize that players actually make a difference in games? I don't care how you set the situation up. Michael Jordan's last 2 plays. Oh, so Karl Malone purposely stood there and let Michael Jordan steal the ball. That was in the script. All right, Karl, you're going to get the ball in the post, and you're going to ignore the fact that Michael Jordan is coming backside. He's going to strip you, not call a timeout, go down the court, and hit this jumper to win the championship. That's fantastic, dude. If we find out that they rigged it that way, say it again.
You hear sometimes from players, they tell the stories like, man, Kobe after the timeout told me what he was going to do, and then he did it. Players talk about it all the time. I think there's a certain...
That has nothing to do with being rigged. That's just dudes being good. Like,
I think there's a certain favorability to stars that make it harder to do. Like, for instance, why they say the playoffs is harder than the regular season, I think that's because of officiating.
Thank you.
Honestly.
That officiating is bad.
I think the difference between playoffs and regular season is officiating.
Absolutely.
That's the only difference.
Dude, we literally watched a pitcher lose a complete game, perfect game, because of an idiot first base coach. We watched a World Series turn. George Order was out by a step and a half. And that bad call changed the entire trajectory of the World Series. That's a bad call. That man ain't on the tape. He made a horrible call. Referees missed at least 7 calls. There were 7 calls from the AFC Championship game. On both sides, they were questionable per reports. 7. That all probably could have impacted the game. I could see if 6 of them were for the Ravens and 1 of them were for the no 6 were for the Chiefs, and one was in favor of the Ravens. They were pretty much split. There were bad calls on both sides. So someone in the chat brought up, what about that championship game with Drew Brees? You think Roger Goodell didn't want Drew Brees? You think Roger Goodell wanted Jared Goff in the championship in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady over Drew? What's more money? What would have drawn more eyes and more money? Jared Goff versus Tom Brady or Drew Brees versus Tom Brady, Left? Since let's bring it up. If I'm rigging the Super Bowl and I'm trying to get more revenue and more eyes to the Super Bowl, do I want Jared Goff and Sean McVay going up against the Patriots? Or do I want Sean Payton and Drew Brees going up against the Patriots?
I think it's based on odds and Vegas stuff. I don't think it's based on storyline necessarily.
No. The people
But I
in the
mean,
chat
you're
said
right.
it's based about money and entertainment. So if it's about money, you're going to get more people betting and viewing the Super Bowl if you have those two quarterbacks than Jared Goff against Tom Brady, which ended up being one of the most boring Super Bowls of all time. Did it not?
It was a good defensive game. I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you. It was a good defensive game. You got Tom Brady and Jared Goff, and it was a defensive effort in the Super Bowl. Nobody's trying to watch the Super Bowl and see I think at halftime it was what, 3-3 or something crazy. It's like, stop, man. Stop. Because there is no defining for that guy to walk up on them screaming about the Ravens lost because of conspiracy. Like, what are we talking about? You know why the Ravens lost? Because that 15 walked into your stadium and did what he does.
Yeah, he just played to win. He didn't really. Yeah.
Travis Kelce walked in and kicked y'all butt and told you about it. From pregame, during the game, and after the game. He talked his talk and he walked the walk. And that number 2 rated defense shut the Ravens offense down. And Todd Monken had a terrible game and game plan. That's what happened. Stop avoiding irrefutable facts about what took place on the field. Once again, no one is saying refs can't affect the game. The fact is, refs are bad. How many times do Notre Dame fans complain about ACC officials? Every week. Every week, Notre Dame fans complain. Notre Dame could be up by 30 points. Notre Dame fans would come to the post-game show and talk about how bad the officials are. Did you see how they missed that call? You see how they missed that call? The refs are always against us. Dude, we won by 30. Can it be that refereeing is just bad? College football, NFL, NBA, hockey, I hear the same complaints. Refereeing and umpiring, MLB especially, is bad. It's really bad. That affects the game every week. I think through Justin Fields, the same penalty that got called for Pat Mahomes when he got smacked in the face, that happened to Justin Fields at least 5 times this year, Left. Never got the call. Never.
Yeah.
That goes back to what you said. When you're a great player, you get favors. When you're great teams, you get favors. It is what it is. You get calls. You don't think LeBron gets calls?
Not enough.
Oh, that's dude, that's debatable. He still gets calls.
He don't know. How many times LeBron get a chance to get on free throw line?
First of all, LeBron, I don't even want to start that conversation.
He won the game off the free throw line, by the way.
That impresses
the way.
you? The fact that it impresses
Absolutely.
you.
No, it's the
I've
fact
never
that they
spoken about
critique his free
Kobe and
throws.
Mike. I've never said, "Oh my God, Mike and Kobe won the game on the free throw line." Come on,
Whoa,
Tyler.
whoa, 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 whoa. Has nothing to do with
Dude,
no Kobe and Mike.
that's
Has
my
everything to
point.
do with
That's
people
my
trying to
point.
pick on LeBron
If
not
he's
being
a
able to
GOAT,
shoot free
if
throws.
he's a GOAT, why are you impressed by the fact that he hit a free throw to win a game?
No,
That's what
I'm
he's
not
supposed to do.
impressed. I'm not
Well,
impressed.
you said you were impressed. I thought I heard
I'm,
you say you were impressed.
I'm saying, are the haters impressed? Because they love to talk about how LeBron can't shoot free throws. Are they impressed? He won the game off free throws.
I don't care. It doesn't impress me. You hit a free throw, my dude. You a professional athlete. Yippee.
You know,
You hit a
it's
free
hard to
throw.
do. If
No,
that's the
it's
case,
not that
everybody
hard.
have
It's not. It's
if
dude,
that's the case,
I
everybody have
can hit.
100% free throw percentage.
I can go hit 7 out of 10 free throws right now, which is actually better than the career average of LeBron James at the free throw line.
That's not the challenge though. The challenge is to run up and down the
But
court.
you said it was hard.
It is in that environment.
No, it's not hard for professionals that
For
sit there and shoot them up. No, for good
You
shooters.
said you can shoot more free throws. That's like saying you can beat Scalabrine one-on-one at the Y.
That's totally different. I can stand at a free throw line and hit 7 to 10 because when I played, I was a very good free throw shooter. That has not left me. That's not going to leave me. That's not what?
Not an NBA game. That's not an NBA
I'm
game.
just proving the point. You're trying to make it seem like free throws are so difficult. No, they're not.
Look,
Not for professionals.
What do you think?
No,
What
they're
do you
not.
think?
That's why
You're
we have numbers that say you're a bad free throw shooter and a good free throw shooter.
What do you think? What do you think? So you're saying you were 70% free throws in high school?
I was better than that. I was better than 70%. I
Okay.
dropped it down. I dropped it down because I'm older.
So what was your free throw percentage in high school?
At least mid-80s.
So you don't think LeBron James' high school free throw percentage was mid-80s?
No.
High school. Oh
no.
Man.
No.
Oh, man,
Go find facts to prove me otherwise. No, he's never been a good free throw shooter. No.
I bet you was in the 80s.
No. I guarantee you he wasn't in the 80s.
All right.
I guarantee. So all of a sudden he got to the NBA. Because he got to the NBA, he became a terrible free throw shooter.
Yeah, Shaq can shoot free throws perfect when he's not.
Shaq was a terrible free throw shooter at LSU. Terrible.
But when he's not in the game situation, he can make free throws all day. Is what I'm saying.
What was his career free throw percentage? Was it good or bad? You keep trying to nuance the conversation.
No, I'm just saying an NBA environment is different. That's like all the NBA guys can make every shot in practice. They get in the game and now they got percentages all over the place. But every dude in practice can hit every shot all the time. I'm just saying.
You do understand that you're saying that LeBron got worse at free throws when he got to the NBA.
Yes.
Do you realize Michael Jordan got better at free throws when he got to the NBA? I'm glad you walked right into that. Thank you.
Michael Jordan.
Go check out his free throw numbers in North Carolina. No, because you said it's tougher to hit free throws in the NBA. Did you not? That's what you said, right?
Hold on. I'm looking at the free throw
percentage. Check it. Look at his college free throw percentage. Look at it.
I'm doing research. I'm with you.
Research all you want, my friend. Go right ahead.
I'm with you.
Because you said it's tougher. You said it's
tougher. I'm saying LeBron James had an 80% free throws percentage in high school.
So he got worse once he got to the NBA because you said it's tougher in the NBA. That's what you said.
In an NBA environment, yeah, those situations.
That's what you said. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Jordan in college, 72% as a freshman, 73%, and 77%. So he got better in college.
So that's LeBron's first 4 years.
Let's go to Michael Jordan's professional stats. Because by your logic, his free throw percentage should have been worse than his college percentage because it's tougher in the NBA.
I can't even compare because LeBron never went to college. He was too good. He never went to college. So what are we comparing here?
Now you're making excuses, dude. You're the
That's
one that
not.
put the logic out there. You put the logic out there.
I said that LeBron's high school free throw percentage was
Drop.
better
Why did it drop?
than
Why
his,
did it drop? Why did it
because
drop?
he went from high school to the NBA.
So you're saying the NBA free throw is tougher than the high school and college free throw. That's what you're saying,
I'm
right?
saying that from an 18-year-old to go from a high school free throw to an NBA free throw. Remember, Michael Jordan had college.
Is he still 18? Is he still 18?
The
Is he
game
still
is
18?
different. The game is different. The conditioning is different.
Oh my God, the conditioning is different. You got to be kidding me, boy.
It is. A high school game, LeBron's easily.
You need to
LeBron,
stop.
do you think LeBron tried that much in high school?
You need to stop. You need to
Honestly.
stop. So LeBron didn't practice free throws in high school? That's what we're saying?
I'm saying the energy he put out in a game. I'm saying shape within a game definitely determines a free throw percentage over time. If you're exerting more energy, that's the whole point of a free throw. It's about an endurance free shot. So if you're out of shape, if you're not at that same speed, then your percentage is going to drop. Like, everybody knows that. So in high school, LeBron probably tried 5% of what he really was capable of. So it's easier for him to just make free throws because he's in perfect shape. In the NBA, he's thinking about so many different things. So many different things are happening. He didn't even go to college. He's got the weight of the world. Free throws percentage is different.
Do you hear your explanation for his poor free throw shooting right now?
It's not. Man, this is year 21.
He needs to hire you. This one is a brand new one. I just want to point out that Michael Jordan is a lifetime 83% free throw shooter. I just want to point that out. He got better when he got to the NBA at free throws, playing 37, 38 minutes a night, dead tired. I'm just saying, since you want to bring in being in shape and having to focus and being tired, he got better playing more minutes than he played in college. That's all.
Okay, we can test it out.
That's all.
We should go to the gym, me and you. We would let's do 4 laps and then shoot some free throws. Shoot some free throws before we run, and then shoot some free throws after we run, and I guarantee you be different. I guarantee you.
Okay, but once again, Michael Jordan was tired and went in the opposite direction as LeBron. I'm still trying to get your point.
First of all, I'm not debating anything about Michael Jordan. I never brought Michael Jordan in conversation.
No. When you make a blanket statement,
you bring up Michael Jordan.
When you make a blanket statement and say you get worse at shooting because it's tougher in the NBA, that was your statement. I didn't say that.
My statement is that LeBron James' high school free throw percentage, of course, is different.
This is strictly LeBron.
That's what I'm talking about.
It doesn't apply to anybody else. It applies only to the LeBron.
I'm referring to LeBron in this conversation. Yes, LeBron's high school percentage in free throws easily was better than NBA's. It's not because he's worse or better than shooting. His shooting isn't shooting. I'm just saying it's worse than high school. Of course, your high school percentage should be better than your college, and you're better than your NFL professional. What do you mean? Like, in high school, guys are throwing Matty Mark. Matty Mark in high school in Ohio threw for 7,000 yards in high school. He didn't throw for 7,000 yards when he got to the NFL. He didn't even play. So I'm saying, obviously, you're going to have better stats in high school than you're going to have in your professional career. Mm-hmm. That's an obvious point.
Mm-hmm.
So LeBron James.
Now, I just want you'll find this interesting. They did this big story right now. I'm looking at the story right now where how they say his stats in high school foreshadowed his greatness, right? They have all his stats listed. You know the only stat they don't have listed? They got every stat from LeBron James listed from high school. Points per game, rebounds, assists per game, efficiency, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. You know the only stat they didn't have listed? The only stat they don't have listed They do not have his free throw percentage listed from high school. That's the only stat in this entire article to foreshadow his greatness that they don't have listed. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They got this dude's efficiency listed. And they don't have his free throw percentage listed. I wonder why. I wonder why.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
I wonder why.
Wow, that's
They
crazy.
can find no free throw percentage listed for this dude. Like, don't leave that out the article.
Wow.
See, that doesn't help your premise at all. Leave it out.
Wow, that's funny. I was trying to find. I couldn't even find it myself. I was looking up. I
Of
couldn't
course
even
you
find
can.
it, dude.
Of course you can.
How do you? But I'm sure his high school percentage was better than his college for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, better than NBA.
Hey, man, when it comes to LeBron James, boy, you're good. You're good.
What do you mean?
You're good. You're good.
You got to think about it though. You're telling me that NBA stars Patrick Beverly averaged 42 in high school. He averaged 42 in high school.
Patrick Beverly is the exact same player he was in high school, man.
He's not averaging 42 in the NBA. What do you mean?
My point is he couldn't shoot in high school.
He averaged 42 points in high school.
First of all, he didn't average 42 points in high school. Stop. I was here. He did not average 42 points in high school in the Red West Division. That dude didn't average 42 points playing Whitney Young, Westinghouse, and Crane and Farragut. Come on, Left. Come on now. 30, maybe. 40? No way. Heck no. Derek,
he averaged 37. He averaged 37.3 points in high school. 37.
Okay, you said 42. You said 42. I said 30, yes. 40, no.
37, that's a high-end 30. That's a high-end 30. You averaging 37 against all them schools you just named. He's not that player in the NBA.
What are you talking?
So the point is
Derek
that
rose
your
on
high
national TV and gave Brandon Jennings 39 in front of the whole world. What do you? I mean, so what? He averaged 30 in high school. That's what great players do.
But Pat Bev isn't averaging 37 in the NBA.
Because he can't shoot.
But my point is
Players
that
that can't shoot can go to the bucket.
But of course, your high school numbers are going to be better than after you precede that. Of course.
Thank you for once again proving my point.
So LeBron James' free throw percentage, of course, is better in high school than they are in the NBA.
No, it wasn't better. That's the point.
You only say that because you haven't seen the stat.
LeBron James, I'm telling you, he's never been a good shooter of the basketball. He's better now than he ever was because he's worked on it.
His percentage of free throw shooting is higher in high school than it is in the NBA. That's a fact. Just like Pat Bev averaged more in high school than the NBA. That's a fact.
You do realize that your point about Pat Bev does not support your point about LeBron James. It's apples and oranges. You do understand that, right?
I'm only relating the fact that your high school numbers are going to be better than your professional numbers.
This is, I'm like, you know what? You remember the scene from Menace to Society? When my man leaned back in the chair and said, you done messed up, right? You done messed up, right? Because you just told me 5 minutes ago that this argument was specifically labeled for LeBron James.
No, I was saying
wait. I specifically asked you. I said, is this about everybody? Or is this specifically towards LeBron James? You were adamant in saying this is specifically for LeBron James.
Yes.
And then you immediately bring up Patrick Beverly. No,
I was immediately
either it's about
Beverly
either it's about LeBron James
as
or
an
it's not.
example. It's about the percentage of what you get in high school is better than the NBA. And for LeBron James, his free throw percentage in high school, of course, should be
Mm-hmm.
better than the NBA. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course. Just like numbers, like Pat Bev had 37 in high school averaging. He doesn't have 37 in the NBA, and that's okay. It doesn't take away from him being a great player. But your numbers in high school have to be spectacular.
Left. He's the same player he was in high school. The same skill set.
Oh
The
my!
absolute same skill set.
So what does 37 tell you as a skill set? If you averaging that in high school,
That in
that tells you that you're a
Chicago.
scorer.
Do
You're
you
a
want to
scorer.
listen? Do you want to listen?
Okay.
Do you want to listen?
Okay, go ahead.
Chicago is filled with players that are stars as prep stars, but Chicago guards historically cannot shoot. They can't shoot from the perimeter. So when they go to college in the NBA, they have a limited offensive game unless you're athletically special like Derrick Rose. Period. And once Derrick Rose lost his explosion, he became normal like everybody else. Patrick Beverly was never athletically special.
So how do you average
He's
37?
never been able. You average 37 in Chicago because you can get to the bucket like all Chicago guards do in high school. You think he's going up against top competition in Chicago high school?
Yeah.
He was one of the best guards in the state. He was literally right behind. He was Derrick Rose's rival in the state. He had the skill set to be able to score 30 in high school. If you can't
So if
shoot,
you say the same player, how is he not averaging that in the NBA? That's all I'm saying.
because he can't shoot. And if you can't shoot as the game gets tougher, you're not going to be able to produce the same. It's not that
LeBron
hard.
hasn't been able to shoot until of late.
Are you really comparing Patrick Beverly and who he is as an athlete to LeBron James, dude?
No, I'm comparing
And who
numbers.
he is as an athlete? That's why I said you picked a terrible comparison. I tried to help you. I'm like, yo, Patrick Beverly is not the comparison that you need. If you're trying to prove a point, that's a bad comparison.
We're just
that's
seeing
not the right
numbers.
comparison.
You're going to average more in high school. You're going to do better numbers in high school than you are professionally. That's just a fact.
Do you feel like you're going to do better numbers in college? You feel like you're going to do better numbers in college than you do in the pros too?
Pat Mahomes probably ridiculous compared to his Texas and Tech numbers.
Patrick Mahomes is a physical talent anomaly. And Left, you keep trying to argue about physical anomalies.
I gave you Matty Mark. Matty Mark's not a physically anomaly, like whatever.
Exactly.
He threw for 7,000 yards in high school.
Exactly. Thank you for proving my point. He was limited. So as he went up against tougher competition, it was going to expose his limitations. The same thing with Patrick Beverly. His game was limited, even though he was putting up 30. And when he got to the NBA, it exposed his limitations. That's what happens. Numbers, you can put up all the numbers you want to in high school. If you don't have a great skill set, you're going to get exposed. That's why the dude had to go overseas before he came to the NBA and change his game, because he didn't have the offensive skill set to make an impact in the NBA. So he went to Europe and became a defensive stopper. He changed his game to make himself valuable to NBA teams. Why? Because he couldn't get it done because he didn't have the offensive skill set that worked for him in high school. It didn't work in college, and it didn't work in the pros. Period. That's why I said don't go down that road with Patrick Beverly. You're doing LeBron a disservice in this conversation. You're not going to help him out. LeBron's skill set is the same. I'm looking at the stats right here. LeBron is shooting the same throughout his career. Throughout his career, LeBron shoots 34% from three-point range, right? 34% throughout his career. You want to know what LeBron shot from three in high school? 33% Left. Through 4 years of high school, he shot 33%. His skill set is the same as it was in high school. And
You don't
shooting
have a
three.
free throw. You don't have a free throw percentage though. That's all.
And I wonder why. I wonder why we don't have a free throw percentage up there. I wonder why, Left. I wonder why they failed to put his free throw percentage.
There's got
I
to be
wonder why,
somewhere.
Left. I wonder why. I wonder why.
That's just probably one site you got. That's all.
I wonder why. I wonder why. They got this dude's efficiency in this article, talking about his greatness, foreshadowing his greatness, all his stats, and the only stat missing is his free throw percentage. I wonder why. And honestly, he's done a great job. He's actually raised his free throw percentage to where now for a career it's at 73%. It used to hover right around 69. He's done a great job improving his percentage. He struggled the last 2 years with the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, in free throws.
And why is that? Because the game is different.
Because he's getting old, dog. That's what happens.
That doesn't impact free throws.
And Michael Jordan shot a lesser free throw percentage at the end of his career, too. What do you mean it doesn't impact free throws? You just gave this grand, man, you just laid it out about being in shape, strength. Dude, you don't think getting older? We do. LeBron gets tired more. He gets tired quicker and easier than he did when he was with the Cavaliers or the Heat. Of course, fatigue comes into play.
But that goes to my point, though.
That was one of the strongest. That was one of the strongest parts of the argument.
That's what I'm saying. That's my whole part is that the numbers that you're going to have in high school is because you have better fatigue. You fatigue less in high school.
I take that back.
And your numbers.
The last 3 years, I just want to support your point. The last 3 years, he has actually improved. This is where he's improved. Because his first 3 years with the Lakers, he shot 66%, 68%, and 69% from the free throw. His first 3 years in LA. His last 3 years, he's taken it up.
That was pandemic time. You know, it was different times back then.
That was pandemic time. Dude, you got every excuse in the world. The pandemic lasted 3 seasons now for LeBron James. 1 year for everybody else, but it lasted 3 seasons for LeBron. The last 3 years, he's done a great job raising it. It's 75, 76, and 73 this season. So, he's done a good job raising his free throw percentage. He really has. He's put in work. But his skill set is pretty much the same skill set he had in high school. The skill set, the athleticism is what it is, dude. It is what it is. That's what people, if you are training your kids in any sport, give them skill sets, man. God is going to give them athleticism, gifts, and talents. Give them skill sets. That cat Steph Curry has minimal athletic talent. I won't say minimal, average athletic talent. Average. And revolutionized the game of basketball with a skill set. With a skill set. And not only with a skill set, mastering the skill set, because movement off the ball is part of that skill set. Being a master at movement without the ball sets up your ability to shoot when you're a great shooter. He's mastered both of those skill sets and was able to revolutionize the game of basketball and change it with average athleticism. He's not overly athletic, dunking over everybody, jumping out the gym, but he has mastered skill sets that transition to the game of the NBA the same way it transitioned in college. Skill sets will always come with you. Always. And if you don't have skill sets, you will get exposed. Like Patrick Beverly got exposed. You got to have skills, dude. Skills. All of that other stuff.
Yeah, like being the greatest scorer of all time. I mean, it takes a lot of skills, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, and his ungodly athletic ability had nothing to do with that.
Why are you diminishing the man
accomplishment?
Because his skill set is the same as it was in high school by the stats. He's the
Yeah,
exact
greatest of all
skill set.
time.
He was a great passer in high school. He was a really good dribbler in high school. He was very smart and knew the game in high school. There is nothing about LeBron James 20 years in from a skill set that he didn't have in high school. Nothing. The only thing that's diminished because of his age is his on-ball defense a little bit. That's it. The consistency of it. He can still D up every now and then, but not the way he was D'ing up in Miami. That run in Miami was crazy on both sides of the ball. But he's 20 years in the game. How can you expect him to do that? This is Anthony Solomon says, would you be arguing the same point if LeBron was from Canada?
Well, we already know. We would love if Shrewsbury got a condo up in Canada. I wouldn't mind that, man. Shrewsbury,
Left loves Canadian basketball players. You like the way Dylan Brooks punked them cats last night? Another Canadian?
Here we go.
Well, I'm just saying, they got blown out by the Rockets, bro.
Blown out?
Yeah, did you see the final score?
Blown out? What do you consider a blowout?
In the NBA, 10 points. You're getting blown out. That's a blowout. Get off the stick.
Okay.
Get off the stick.
10 points, that's it?
Yeah, you got blown out. Get off the stick. The Lakers got blown out last night.
Where are the Rockets going this year?
The Rockets are one game behind the Lakers, so I can ask you the same question. I can ask you the same question.
We don't have to worry about the Lakers.
The Lakers. No, wait a minute.
The Lakers are playing for playoff position. They don't care nothing about, like LeBron always says, he don't care nothing about the rankings. Just like Pat Mahomes don't care nothing. Honestly, you think Pat Mahomes cares if he's the first seed or the last seed in the playoffs? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Left. You do realize the Lakers lost by 16 last night. That's not a blowout.
Where are the Rockets headed this year?
They're one game behind the Lakers. They're probably going to have
that the Lakers won't get in? Or are you more concerned that the Rockets won't get in?
I'm concerned that the Lakers might not even get into the play-in.
Man, you're
what?
See,
What's
Sean,
so funny?
That's you're not being serious.
Left. Do you expect Anthony Davis to stay healthy the whole year? If Anthony Davis misses 2 to 3 weeks, that's not going to impact the Lakers.
The Lakers aren't missing the playoffs.
The Lakers can lose 2 games and be out of the playoff race right now.
The season hasn't started yet. The All-Star break hasn't happened.
Okay, but you're sitting up here talking with all of this confidence, like the Lakers are just. Dude, the Lakers are literally behind 8 teams. They're in the 9th spot, tied for the 10th spot with the Utah Jazz.
They can be the last spot and still get to the finals. So it doesn't matter. Spotting don't matter.
The Lakers are guaranteed to win the play-in.
They're guaranteed to get in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Compared to the Rockets, come on now. The Rockets don't bottom out.
Left.
They're just a young team.
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to agree with you on January 30th. I'm going to agree with you that the Lakers are going to make the playoff. I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, like nobody worry about that.
Do you understand the trash I'm going to talk if the Lakers miss the playoffs? If this cat LeBron James misses the playoffs, do you understand the trash talk that's coming your way?
The only way they can miss the playoffs is LeBron decides to sit out.
If LeBron misses the playoffs with Anthony Davis as his second best player, do you understand the trash talk that's coming your way? I just don't want you. I want you to understand.
I'm not worried.
Be prepared for it. Okay. Don't be worried about it. Don't be worried about it. They currently sit tied for 9th.
and the season hasn't started. You think LeBron been in the league 21 years? You don't think he knows how this game goes?
Mm-hmm.
He
Yep.
has what they call pace.
Mm-hmm.
Pace. What does he need
Mm-hmm.
to be number one seed for? Like OKC and them boys.
Oh, because he's that LeBron now that can just take over series, right? Like he tried to against the Denver
He's
Nuggets and got blown out in the second half. He's
first of
that
all, those are the
dude now.
champs. First of all, the Denver Nuggets was the best team in the
Oh,
league
so
that year.
the Denver Nuggets still don't have Jokic and Murray.
The
Now,
Denver
Jamal
Nuggets
Murray's
was
not
the
gonna
best team.
wait. Jamal Murray's not gonna embarrass D'Angelo Russell. Dude, I saw your tweet Saturday night, bro. I saw your frustration with D'Angelo Russell in that game.
And he
You think
made the
that's gonna
three
go away?
after he hurt me.
But no, in the playoffs, like you said, playoffs are tougher, right? You think that's not gonna show up in the playoffs? The boneheaded plays?
He's not gonna be shooting like that in the playoffs.
Okay. Oh, I know. It's gonna be worse. I know.
But
You
you
go ahead
acknowledge
and have your blind faith in D'Angelo Russell.
I can guarantee you they making the playoffs with
And you see
D'Angelo Russell.
your boy's stats have gone down since he got that bag. Now he has money out in LA, boy. He's acting a fool out there, huh?
Who?
Austin Reeves. He got the bag and his numbers. Pew.
I never had the faith in him like that.
Oh, I'm just saying.
So
You keep talking about all this faith. Your faith is based upon what? Just strictly on LeBron? Because I already know you have no faith in Anthony Davis because you just don't. You got hate in your heart for Chicago. But go ahead.
Anthony Davis is the reason why it's a guaranteed playoff spot. What are we talking about?
Oh, so like I said, if Anthony Davis gets injured, their playoff spot is not in jeopardy.
For the whole season, I'm sure it doesn't matter at that point because the whole point is to have AD and LeBron in a playoff situation. And in 7 games, there's not any team
in a
that can beat
7-game
them 7
series,
games.
we're gonna close
Except
with
Denver.
this. In a 7-game series, no, you said except Denver. In a 7-game series, you have faith that they're beating the Clippers?
Yes. James Harden's going to bottom out.
Yeah. You have faith they're beating the Nuggets?
Kawhi's not going to give enough. I don't know.
You
Not
have
right
faith
now.
they're beating the Nuggets?
Not right now, no.
You have faith they're beating the Timberwolves?
Yes. They're going to beat them from
Wow.
experience. 7
You have
games,
faith
the
that
Timberwolves are better for 7 games.
You have
Because
faith
you got
they're
to
beating the
think, you
Simmons?
got LeBron James, dude. LeBron James 7 games versus Rudy Gobert 7 games. Come on now.
Are they beating the Phoenix Suns in a series?
Are the Phoenix Suns getting there? Or are they going to be hurt? They ain't played together since when?
And they still have a better record than the Lakers.
The record is not. LeBron is beyond a record right now.
Here we go.
It's about getting into the playoffs.
If all things are equal, if both teams are healthy, are the Lakers beating the Phoenix Suns in a series? I understand. You can take your time with it. I know you're gonna say yes because you have to.
No, for real.
You can't say no.
No, they are.
Okay.
The only team they can't beat in the 7-game series is the Nuggets. They already beat the Warriors. They'll beat the Kings.
Okay.
You got to think who's guarding both of them for 7 games. Phoenix is going to lose because they don't have defense.
Who's guarding Anthony Edwards when they play Minnesota? Austin Reeves?
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
They'll switch. They'll rotate.
All right.
They'll switch. They'll rotate. They're the tallest team in the league.
Barbecue chicken. As Shaq would say, barbecue chicken.
Anthony Edwards could average 35, and they still wouldn't beat the Lakers team.
All I'm saying, all I asked is who was sticking the young man. Barbecue chicken.
It's a rotation. It'll be a rotation. It'll be a rotation.
Doesn't matter. Who's in the rotation? Because it's not going to change anything. Left, you need to find anybody connected to LeBron and apply for a job. Because no one defends and comes up with theories to support LeBron James' greatness better than you. You better than you do it better than
What
Maverick
do you
Carter.
mean?
I'm just saying, you're great at it. That's all I'm saying.
What do you mean?
You're great in your
I'm in a
defense of
one-game
LeBron
vacuum.
James' greatness.
Nobody's beating Patrick Mahomes in a one game for your life. Not right now. So 7 games beating a 21-year vet with a team that can win in a 7 game. It's a regular season is clouding your vision.
It's not clouding my vision. I just gave you facts. You keep saying man, my vision is not clouded. I gave you facts with the free throws. I can't find the free throw facts from high school. I wonder why. I gave you facts
But
with
you
his free
said they
throws
wasn't
and the
gonna make the
pros.
playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
No, I asked you if Anthony Davis gets hurt, as he does every year, at some point and misses multiple weeks, does that impact their chances to make the playoffs? That's what I said. And you eventually you
You
said
said
yes.
if they don't make the playoffs, you're gonna talk so much stuff.
Okay. I'm just letting you know that if it happens, you're going to hear it. That's all. I'm just letting you
And I'm
know.
saying there's nothing to worry about. They'll make the playoffs.
But
It's about
even if he misses
beating
the
Denver.
playoffs, dude, I'm sure if they miss the playoffs, you're going to have the greatest reasons and excuses why to explain everything. It's going to be the recent Los Angeles weather. It's going to be the smog they got in his chest. It's something. You're going to come up with something. It's going to be the difficulty of the
LeBron wouldn't
Western
play in year
Conference.
21 unless LeBron James
Mhm.
wouldn't have even played this year if he thought they wasn't gonna make the playoffs. Let's be serious.
Right. Because the NBA is
You think he
rigged,
would have?
right?
You think he would have played
Because
if
it's
he didn't think
rigged,
they would
right?
have made the playoffs? Come on.
Because the NBA,
No,
because the
because
NBA is
come on,
rigged, right?
LeBron James wouldn't have played this year if he didn't think they would make the playoffs. Let's be serious. Come on. So from that fact alone, in the later years of his career, he's not playing if he don't think he's gonna make the playoffs.
Hey, man. LeBron, you know what would be wonderful? I can't wait. Because I don't wish evil on anyone. Ladies and gentlemen, because I can tell you for a fact, unless they win the Pac-12 conference championship, Bronny is going to be at home during the tournament. USC is not making the tournament. They are not even 500 right now. Do you understand that if we get to the spring and LeBron and Bronny are watching basketball together at the crib, do you understand the level of trash talking that's going to take place on Lucky Lefty podcast?
I'm not worried about that.
Well, half of it is going to happen. Bronny's not making the tournament. I can tell you that right now. He's going to be at the crib. That's already, unless a miracle happens.
Making it. That's
No,
a lot.
they're not
That's a
making
lot
the
of
tournament.
teams now. That's a lot of teams not to make it now.
Left, have you been watching USC basketball? Have you been watching USC basketball, my brother?
64 teams are better than USC?
Right now? I would take it to 100 teams are better than USC right now.
Damn. I don't believe 64 teams are better than USC right now.
Left, I don't know what else to tell
you. 64, Sean? As fickle as these teams are right now in college basketball?
Yes. Yes.
It don't take nothing but 2 weeks of hotness for them to be ranked in the top 25.
No. You realize that currently, right now, let me get this for you. Because I see now I have to give Left stats. I got to give him the stat. They are last in the Pac-12. Dead last, Left. Their record is 9-12, Left. They are 2-7 in the conference. Bronny will be watching basketball at Crypto and on TV come this spring.
Oh, man, it's a long season.
Long season? They only have like 10 games left.
Don't they play, what, 35?
No, most teams play 30 regular. 30 at the most, and you add another 2 or 3 conference championship, and then a tournament game.
They got half a season left.
The good news is
Damn near.
the Pac-12 is so underwhelming that they're only 3.5 games out of first place.
That's what I'm telling you.
That's the funny part. Left, stop. They have to jump 11 teams, bro. Come on now.
But 3.5 games, that means everybody's right there. That's 2 weeks of playing good. They'll be the top of the conference. 2 weeks.
They've lost 5 games in a row.
Man, you know how basketball's fickle.
Boy.
I'm just saying, it doesn't take 3.5 games is nothing, Sean. That's nothing. That means that all these other teams are trash just like them.
Left. Hey, man. I'm just letting you know. I didn't say it was going to happen. I'm just letting you know what's coming your way if it happens. Stranger things have happened in life. And if by chance LeBron is on his couch with baby girl and Bronny come this spring, yes, I'm going to designate the first 15 minutes of the show for all James family slander. Because the plan for both of them was to have great seasons, and then Bronny be a first round pick, and then he plays with LeBron. I don't think any of that is going to happen.
I don't think any of that's going.
No, I don't foresee any of that happening. Great plan, just wasn't executed. He should have went to Ohio State instead of USC. Those were his final 2 schools, Ohio State and USC. He should have chosen Ohio State. Ohio State is actually going to the tournament this year.
You're not worried about it.
Hey, man, be safe. Take care, man. I'm glad you had a spare. I'm glad you all are safe from the blowout. We'll talk to you guys, man. Don't forget, we got interviews coming up on the Patreon as well. More merchandise popping up on the store. Link is in the chat. Also at Lucky Lefty Pod on Twitter and X. And coming soon to TikTok for Left. SD2 mics. Have a great Left. We did almost 3 hours today, though.
Damn.
That's a lot of
Yes,
editing.
sir.
You missed the first hour, though. You missed the
You
first hour.
always
I'm
spin it
glad you
differently.
guys are safe. Man, got to, man. See you guys later. Make sure you spend it different.